Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling podcast. It is great to have you back here for this first time ever that we're actually doing an episode of the Attitude of Aggression here on YouTube. First video, actually, of any of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling podcast episodes. This is, of course, the return of the Big Five Project. I am your host, the lawyer Dave Unger. Welcome. Good to be back here. Good to be back talking some wrestling. Some of you may have already seen most of this episode on the live stream that we did on, on Friday. Today is Monday, the 17th. So that was, the 14th? I think it was the 14th. Yeah. So we did the live stream of the Big Five Project in WrestleMania 12 in this episode, basically, or most of it, on the 14th. And by and large, for the first time we ever did a live stream of the wrestling podcast, I think that episode went very well. We got pretty good numbers for the live stream. We're still kind of getting the hang of all this stuff here and there a little bit, getting it in the nuances and the ins and outs of things. It's the third time we've done a live stream. The first one, of course, was the finale of Game Gone Wrong, which did well. I did a live stream of Unidentified History with Samuel Chong in the Prophecy and Possibility episode. But this is the first time we tried one on the pro wrestling side of things and got good numbers. The replay's been strong. So right off the bat, thank you guys for that. Of course, this is the full episode of the show, and I believe this is, if I'm remembering this correctly, and I got to actually look this up, this is episode 326 of the show. So this is the full episode. So on this episode, on the intro here, and as you'll know as we go along, we are covering the Big Five Project, and it is WrestleMania 12 on this episode. And of course, if you've been following along with us on the Big Five Project for any period of time now, you know the routine. If you're new to all of this stuff, whether you watched the live stream the other night and said, hey, that was interesting, I want to learn more about this or not, several years ago, and I'm not sure, I think it was 2022, somewhere there, 2023. It's been a few years now. I have to go and look it up and maybe get back to you guys on that. But, the Attitude of Aggression went through several years there where we weren't very active at all after being very active at the launch of everything and then kind of went quasi-dark for a while on the wrestling side of things. Did a few things here and there, kept the Swaggy Awards going, that sort of thing. But a few years ago, I decided I wanted to relaunch things sort of. And, without a dedicated co-host like I used to have, it was a little tricky to figure out some sort of concept that made sense to work on, because I didn't want to do like the show used to be, which is like almost a blow-by-blow replay of a lot of the events and stuff. I wanted to do something different. And I came up with the idea for the Big Four Project at the time, which was a chronological review and analysis of the Big Four pay-per-views of the WWE, starting at WrestleMania 1 when the pay-per-view, the Big Four era kind of started. And we had a lot of fun with that, and that started to go very well. And we went through, the golden era of WWF at that time, the, WrestleMania 3 with Hogan, Andre, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ricky Steamboat, Savage winning the title, the Mega Powers forming, exploding, the Ultimate Challenge, that sort of thing. And it went very well. And we brought on, it was me and PC Tunney came along. Then DJ from the Mindless Wrestling podcast, he jumped in as well. And it's been a lot of fun. And we just got out of 1995, which anybody who follows wrestling knows it's a god-awful period of time in professional wrestling. There's no real other way to describe that other than like, phew, what a shit show. We're just now coming into 1996, and we did Royal Rumble 1996 on the last episode. And here on this episode, we cover WrestleMania 12, and you start to see WWE turning the corner. So that's kind of what we're going to do here on this episode. We're going to talk about WrestleMania 12. We're going to get some Big Five music going in just a minute here. We'll talk WrestleMania 12. You'll hear myself and Tunney and DJ. We touch bases on some of the current stuff that's going on. We recorded this before SmackDown took place last week. I'm recording this on Monday night, late here on the West Coast. It's been raining cats and dogs out here in Central California for a couple days. But I did catch most of Raw tonight, or at least know pretty much what's going on. And boy, lots of stuff to talk about. Survivor Series War Games shaping up to be a very explosive event. So we will be covering that. I think I'll do that on the back end in the, let me talk to you aspect of this episode. Anybody who's listening to this knows how the routine goes. So what we'll do is we'll get some Big Five music going. I'll cut out of here. You'll hear the episode that we live streamed the other night. It'll have all the bells and whistles attached to it now. Audio will be fixed. Hopefully the video will be fixed. I'm going to try and get Rob in the center of the screen on this. Like I said, stuff that we need to work on for the live streams going forward. We're still learning the ins and outs of all this stuff, but we'll have that. I'll come back. I'll give my own thoughts on WrestleMania 12, recap things, do a little let me talk to you, and then we'll get you out of here. This will be, as anybody knows, usually the wrestling podcasts are pretty long, approaching like 3 hours by the time we're done with it. But it's good stuff all the way around, really good content. So with that being said, let's get some Big Five music. Let's get to the Big Five project. WrestleMania 12 coming your way right about now. Welcome, everybody, into this edition of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast. Good stuff. Welcome in. It's going to be a good episode. We are live streaming the first time ever an episode of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast and the Big Five Project. And I am your host, the lawyer Dave Unger, coming to you here today as we wait for the rain and all this stuff to come into Southern California. And I got to apologize to anybody out there listening. We're a little bit late getting on here today because business of fantasy football had to be addressed, and trade deadlines are coming up, and
I can't even hide it right now. We're live and people could see me. Just throw me right under the bus, Dave. No one knows who you're talking about. Who's on their phone right now doing stuff? Couldn't be me.
I thought it was funny. It's like, okay, I want to get this started. We got to pull this trade off. What do you want for the shitty Bengals defense? How about a first round pick? It's like, what is going on here? I'm glad I'm not part of your fantasy league.
You're going to appreciate this. One of the guys in our fantasy league, Scott, he's a huge Macho Man fan, as you are. And he just texted me, make sure to leave a Slim Jim and a pair of sunglasses out tonight. It's the eve of Macho Man's birthday.
Is it? All right. You know what? Maybe a little duffel bag full of something. You never know what you might run into. You know what? We don't need to go there. Anyway, as I mentioned, I'm your host, the lawyer Dave Unger, coming to you here today. Our good friend DJ not with us for this episode of the Big Five Project, but that's okay because we got the best pinch hitter in all of podcasting here, the genius himself, the man who just traded away essentially Drake May for the Bengals defense. It is the one and only Rob Burnett. Rob, what's going on, brother? Good to have you here back on the Big Five Project. And I do have to say, Rob, just so you know, I want to make sure you are aware of this, that next weekend when we review Age of Disclosure and Unidentified History, we're going to talk about the Tunguska event. That's your brainchild. That is your baby, Rob. So I'm hoping you're going to be there for that one.
What time are you guys doing that?
I have no idea. It's like I'm Indiana Jones, Rob. I'm making this up as I go. I got nothing.
So. If it's any time over the weekend, absolutely. I should be free all weekend.
It'll be over the weekend for this one because Age of Disclosure is on a Friday night down in LA, so we won't be able to do it that night because I'll probably go and hang out after the show and see what's happening down in Beverly Hills. Not like I've never been there before, but anyway, people don't care about that. What they do care about is the Big Five. Wait, they also care about PC Tutty, the man who just fleeced Rob in that awesome trade. Tutty, how are you doing, brother?
I've been selling the last couple of weeks on my fantasy football team. Watch me make the playoffs anyway, but I'm doing well. I'm ready to talk some wrestling here this evening. So thanks everybody who's going to join us here.
Yeah, this is going to be good. If you are not familiar with what we are doing here on the Big Five Project, I don't know, what's it been, like a few years now, Tony? A few years ago, when the Attitude of Aggression, the wrestling side of things really kind of like revamped a little bit, we can't, or I don't even know how, I came up with this idea to kind of chronologically go and take the big four. Well, it started off as a Big Four project and take the big four WWE pay-per-views chronologically from WrestleMania 1 all the way forward. And we've covered all of that. And we have gotten to the point now where eventually we added King of the Ring and switched the name of the project to the Big Five Project. So we've gone from WrestleMania 1. And on this episode, we are all the way up to WrestleMania 12. And that is what we're going to be covering here on the Big Five Project here today. PC Tunney survived 1995. Tunney, I sent you a message. I sent you a message earlier today that I thought that the idea of live streaming the Big Five Project at this point in history is probably the perfect entry point. Because from WrestleMania 12 forward, things really ramp up. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into the heart of the Attitude Era is coming up really soon, which I know you've been waiting for. And I can't think of a better time to get more people involved watching live streams and interacting with us than this period of WWE history. Not even WWE history. This is pro wrestling history. This is the Monday Night War. It is in full effect on this card. We've got our first side quest coming up pretty soon. But anyway, man, your thoughts, just for people who are listening, your thoughts on the Big Five Project and just kind of like, how good do you feel to get to this point and to have the show kind of evolve into a more live format, probably going forward from here?
No, I think we've talked about, as like kind of labeling ourselves as wrestling historians now after going, especially at like WWE side, having gone back through all this stuff that we had already watched and, had thoughts about, but now we're actually chronicling it. So like if you have a favorite pay-per-view that happened before WrestleMania 12, we don't have a video for you, but we do have all that audio, either .com or Chairshot Radio Network. Has all those, majority of those Big Five episodes right there that you can listen to. So go back and do that. I mean, we're just having a good time. And yes, I am glad we are past 1995. But, the greatest era in professional wrestling, the Monday Night Wars, and we're on the precipice of that. And we're on the precipice of the Attitude Era in WWE. All the pieces are there. They're just kind of positioning them correctly. Maybe we don't need a master of the ring. Maybe we need one BAMFer, so we'll figure that out as we move along.
No, and like you're saying, as much shit as we talked about 1995, and it was warranted, and there was a lot of shit talked about 1995. There's no two ways about that. At the same time, when you really get down to it, I think, and we've said it on the show numerous times, that if you don't go through that horrible period, you don't appreciate what we're about to get into as much as we're about to appreciate what we're going to get into. Because like we've said all along, all the pieces are there. All the pieces are actually there in WWE at this point in time. They just are under a different gimmick, and we're going to see that on WrestleMania 12 with like Hunter Hearst Helmsley, not Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the Ringmaster, not Stone Cold yet, but the Ringmaster, that sort of thing. For the folks who are just coming in here, what we always do at the beginning of these episodes is we don't lose sight of what's going on currently. So we'd like to talk about the current product before we jump into the historical stuff. And a pretty big week in pro wrestling this week, guys. Monday Night Raw was one of the better shows that we've had in a while. We'll get to that. Just hold your horses, buddy. I can see you. We got new women's tag team champions, and it clearly seems like we have the stage set now for at least the women's War Games match. It seems like, you got Lash Legend has now jumped to the main roster. You got Nia Jax, the Kabuki Warriors against what's it going to be? Charlotte, Rhea, Io Sky, and Alexa Bliss. Seems like what we're going to get for the women's War Games match, right? You guys, What do you,
Yeah, the question now is who's the fifth on each side, right? Because you've pretty much established with the ending of Raw, and shout out to Nia's Thang's been thanging, popping out of all over the place there, man. I was just like, ooh, there goes another one. I was like, when it's like kind of like reminded me of what's the Chappelle? Oh, Half Baked. Where towards the end when they're having the big fight shootout at the end and they stop and they're like, oh, damn, that's a titty.
That's right. That's right. I'm Cuban beat.
Hey, ask guy on the couch. Hey, guy on the couch.
Yeah. It just waves him off, that sort of thing, man. Rob, what do you think of Yeah, who do you think are they gonna have a 5th person per team? And if so, who do you think I think I would think so. I mean, they haven't done a 4-person.
They
Well, did they do 4 people they did it in NXT, but not on the main
they did
roster.
it in 2023. They did it because Dakota Kai looked like been blowing me.
Yeah, she
Not Rob the Genius for nothing, folks. Next time you come in here, you need to change that to Rob the Genius down there, not Rob. Okay, no one
Robert
gives a shit
L.
about the rest of that crap.
So they did 4-on-4 that year, and I mean the dirty sheets say it's going to be Becky and AJ Lee, which
That works.
I'm going to complain because they're not connected to this in any kind of way. They haven't been connected to this in any kind of way, and you're just going to throw them in there so they can have 5 people.
Well, both sides of the War Games has not been connected. Like
Well-
even the men's where we were looking to go, you lose Seth, but like I don't know, to have the War Games revolve around the women's tag team championships though, mainly, I really like, because I think having Charlotte and Alexa have those belts, little bit of a feud with the Kabuki Warriors for a good period of time now. Like, let's not immediately break up Charlotte and Alexa. Let's have that happen after the Rumble so that we can have them move and have a big blood feud match at WrestleMania. I don't know if I was getting ahead of where you were going there, Dave, but
Well, I think like you're saying, and like to Rob's credit, what he's saying, yeah, it doesn't make sense to just kind of like shoehorn them in here, that sort of thing. But at the same time, if we're moving towards AJ versus Becky for the IC title at presumably WrestleMania 42, then let's get it going. And this kind of sets, or Rumble or something like that. I don't know where they're going to do that one, but then I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's just roll with it. That sort of thing. I don't know, unless you've got unless you're going to put Stephanie McCool and Nikki Bella after Nikki turned on Stephanie on Raw. Maybe you want to get them involved, get Steph involved in War Games since she is the women's world champion.
Vaquer?
Maybe.
Yeah.
right? Vaquer.
I guess I mean
the Vaquer Bear.
The Vaquer Bear, not Valkyria. Vaquer, yes.
Lyra.
I guess because for me, I mean, I go back to the original War Games, and in those, like everybody was feuding with everybody, and it had been going on for a while.
Slide your pretty face back into frame, Robert.
Yeah, Rob.
Sorry.
No,
Okay.
yeah, people want to see your beauty.
All right.
Want to see that beauty, man.
Yeah. So, but
I know as a Commanders fan, it's easy to hide your face.
I know. Look, it's paper bag time now again.
It's getting there, man. Where's my Trader Joe's bag?
But I guess I mean I'm an old guy. I go back to 1987 when the War Games first started, and everybody, because you had the Horseman and JJ Dillon on one team, and they were feuding with everybody on Dusty's team. So everybody was feuding with everybody, and it had been going on for a while. So everybody was connected with everybody in that match. So it always irks me when they do this kind of slap together thing. Just having 5 people.
Well, the women's doesn't seem that bad though, does it? Like this is this is the appropriate amount of attention that was going to be paid to this women's War Games, regardless, right? I think it's the men's side that were more like,
the men's side.
This doesn't fit right now.
Well, yeah, and I think Seth getting hurt screwed up everything because otherwise the division he would still be with Braun. And they'd probably be in like Brock Lesnar, or whatever.
Man, think if Braun Strowman was still had decent enough knees to be around, they could have had Braun, Bronson, and Braun.
Yeah,
the Killer Bees.
Yeah, exactly.
Somewhere the Miami Dolphins 1983 defense is smiling, that sort of thing. But yeah, what are we doing with the men's War Games match? I mean,
well, now you got Logan Paul, right?
Yeah,
you got Logan, Braun, and Bronson.
So you figure you throw some heel tag team with them, and then on the other side you got to think it like Punk and Cody and Roman, and
so Punk, Cody, and Jay are together already.
Jericho.
Look, I don't think
I'm trying to speak stuff into the ether. Yeah, the mystery opponent next week for Solo is going to be.
Well, okay, hold on.
No,
you brought it up.
It's
before we go back to what happened Monday night. Let's talk about Chris Jericho.
He's coming back.
He's coming back, but I don't know.
The tweet that he did this week, talk about burying your arguably current employer. Holy shit.
No offense, but just keeping it real. That was basically what he said.
No offense, but just keeping it real. TNA is the number 2 promotion in the world right now behind WWF. And this is coming from Chris Jericho, who has put over AEW at every turn. He's one of the originals. The original AEW world champion has been, he's been the biggest proponent of AEW, and he's been pretty diplomatic about stuff at times. Although like the last couple of years, he's gone more hardcore AEW and kind of sliding WWE. So for him to do an about face like this,
Do you want the quote? I have it.
Please, go ahead, Tony. Read it.
Okay. The crowd looked huge. It looked huge. It was like a WWE level crowd. The place was packed. I was watching this and not saying anything out of school here, but comparing it to watching Dynamite when they were at the ECW arena, which looked like Tony Condello taping. Sorry, it did. TNA looked like the second biggest company in the world, and that was amazing. And the presentation was amazing. I can't wait to hug Triple H and get in the middle of it. No, that last sentence is not right. It ended at the presentation was amazing.
It could have been
Well,
right.
because,
I mean, that is basically what he's saying.
Yeah, look, I mean, he's gotten back in shape already.
I love WWE's adopted child. Is what he.
So look, I mean, I think he doesn't come back until the Rumble because you want the biggest, pop you can get. But he's come back.
Yes. I don't know. Being one of the solo mystery opponents in the Elton tournament could be interesting.
The Elton tournament? Is that
yeah, last time is now. It's the Elton John tournament.
Okay. Oh. All right. I got you. Nothing. I'm just wondering who's going to end up as
Rob's like, I don't know, he's shaming my comedy. That's bullshit.
Tony's just a tiny dancer, Rob. Don't worry about it. He's
hold me closer.
Yeah.
Look, don't sing any sad songs. A sad song say too much.
Okay. All right. Enough Elton John quotes here on this episode. Yeah, I think it's pretty evident Jericho's on his way back. Like you're saying, Rob, he's gotten himself into shape. He's not screwing around. He knows he's going to get a lot more airtime. This will be, you got to figure, this is going to be his last swan song. So if he comes back in 2026, you've got Cena will end next month. You're going to have competing last runs probably with AJ Styles and Chris Jericho, and I'm fine with that. That's going to be awesome for the last, this last run. And you probably get one last match out of those two guys, which would be ironic that AJ's first match in WWE was like against Jericho, and his last match might be against Jericho.
Yeah.
Boy, talk about a long and winding yellow brick road. Sorry, I did it again. More Elton John references. Saturday. No, so anyway.
I'll be right back. I'm going to head to the fridge like a rocket man for another beer.
Right.
So Rob, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and bury you on this live broadcast and say you're the only one of us who still watches AEW, but you're the only one of us who still watches AEW. We are not overly critical and in your face about, that kind of stuff with whoever's watching that. That's up to you. All wrestling is good. That's the main message we want to send to people. All wrestling's good. But Rob, what do you think of Jericho? Just kind of really not talking out of school here. Well, you just did, Chris.
Well, look, Jericho has always been in the Jericho business. Okay.
That is
probably the most true thing that will be said on this broadcast this evening.
And you know what? True.
There isn't necessarily anything wrong with that a large majority of the time.
Yeah. I mean, look, wrestling is a very selfish business. And if you make it to any high position in that business, you got to be selfish. You got to look out for number one. And that's just how it is. And yeah, look, those of us who have favorite wrestlers, we like to think that they don't do things like go into business for themselves or say, not going to work for me, brother. But they absolutely do. Okay, they do.
Well, I don't know about that, dude.
Right.
I don't know about that, brother. Where's DP with his soundboard when we need it?
I mean, they absolutely do.
But no, you're absolutely right.
And because that's the nature of the business.
Absolutes in here. Yeah, there's a lot of absolutes in here.
If you're not willing to win the business for yourself and you're not willing to say not going to work for me, brother, you're not going to get very far because they're going to take advantage of you. Mm-hmm. That's just how the business is. So
yeah, you've got to be your own biggest proponent. It's so much of it is about branding, and especially in WWE, so much of it is about branding. I don't. Honestly, my thoughts on Jericho, he has done all he can possibly do for AEW.
But that's the other thing.
He did all he could possibly do, put them on his back, got them established, got them to the point where they were, a few years ago, there was no question who the number 2 promotion in the world was. None. Zero. And they brought in all that talent, and then I don't know what the fuck happened to Tony
We got
Khan.
better things to talk about. Come on, let's not waste any of our precious time on. Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
Rob may be the one of us who's still watching AEW. Tony is the one of us who will say, let's not ever talk about AEW because, why bother? Well, you were the one watching Dynamite religiously for never mind. That was somebody else.
That is
your
not
alter
true.
ego.
For maybe the first 6 weeks. And Dan and I were like, we can't do this anymore.
All All right, enough buffoonery here. Let's talk the big story of the week. Grand Slam GOAT, John Cena, captures the Intercontinental Championship, dethroning Dominic Mysterio on Monday Night Raw in his final match in Boston, Massachusetts. There are people out there who hate that this happened. I am absolutely not one of them. This is not going to be a big derailment for Dominic Mysterio at all. It's irrelevant. It does create the situation where, as great as John is and has been and still is, that missing piece on the mantle. Is it just me or does Joe Tessitore sound more and more like Mauro Ranallo every time I hear him? I swear, I listen to him broadcast like this, Mauro Ranallo.
It's his, well, the tone is kind of the same ish. Like if you listen to them, like if you had a conversation, like you and the two of them, you'd know the difference real quick, but the tone is similar, but the intensity and excitement is almost like on the same level with those two guys. That's where I think it hits. Cause I agree with what you're
smelling what I'm cooking is what you're saying. As for the match itself, I mean, you got to give both those guys credit, especially the Eddie Guerrero tribute in the latter stages of the match. That was really well done.
Yes.
And like you're saying, Tony, I know what you want to talk about. You want to talk about the camera work, the cut that WWE put out a couple days later that shows the big wink by John to Dominic Mysterio. And you know that these guys are having a really good time with this whole thing. And the backstage interaction between John and Rey Mysterio and John and Cody, and John shaking hands with Sheamus, who is probably looking at him like, how come you get the Intercontinental Championship, but I had like 10 shots at it and they won't give me maybe. Yeah. I mean, there is that would be really interesting if Sheamus could somehow win that tournament.
Well, here's the thing.
Beat John's last opponent for the IC title.
John has to show up. John is going to show up Monday on Raw. And then John's going to be at Survivor Series. So is John's last match for the IC title, or does he drop it somewhere? Does Dom have a rematch on Monday and he loses it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Is Dom one of the mystery opponents and beats John in his last match to win the title back?
That could maybe.
These are the questions.
Yeah.
Something like that happens.
So, I mean, if we talk about the tournament, and Rob, I'll go to you on this one. If we talk about what's going on with the tournament right now, what Rusev and Sheamus have advanced, right? So we got former League of Nations guys going to the semifinals. Honestly, I know people want something sexier, but I mean, from a full circle story standpoint, Sheamus versus Cena in the final match with the Intercontinental Championship on the line, especially when you consider that John really put Sheamus on the map in that tables match, a decade and a half ago or whatever the fuck it was?
Yeah.
That was a match that really established Sheamus as a formidable, and it launched Sheamus to this Hall of Fame career that he's had. I mean, for both those guys to complete their Grand Slams in this, like within a month of each other against each other, I mean, it's not the sexiest pick. I understand that. But from a storytelling perspective, I like the idea of Sheamus being John's last opponent and beating him for the IC title. Rob, am I full of shit or just partially full of shit?
Oh, no, I would love that. Because listen,
You're full of shit.
Thanks, Tony.
Look, I'm not one of those people who
I couldn't pass that one up, Rob. I'll shut up now.
Okay. Look, I'm not one of those people that think you have to put somebody over on the way out. But if you're going to do it for him, that would be perfect. I don't think anybody really wants to see him lose at this point. Nobody wants to see that. Okay. That whole thing about putting people over on your way out, that's IWC stupid bullshit. Okay. Like when you go to a farewell concert, you don't want to see the lead singer hand the mic over after one song, do you? No, you don't. Okay. So nobody wants to see him lose a bunch of matches on the way out. But I mean, unless he, if he wants to, okay, fine. But to me, because remember that Brock Lesnar thing went over like a lead balloon because nobody wanted to see that, right? So
I'm still wondering about what was the purpose of that.
I think the purpose of that is to who Brock's. I think we're going to find that out between now and WrestleMania because Brock had to be reintroduced as one of still like a monster.
All right, so let's kind of compartmentalize this a little bit. So John wins the Intercontinental Championship, beats Dominic Mysterio in classic John Cena fashion, rolling through on the frog splash, AA, pin John Cena as a new IC champion and gets his Grand Slam. But we've got the tournament going on that we're talking about. So the big issue tonight, as we normally record these on a Friday night, LA Knight versus a mystery opponent. Everybody and their mother thinks that this mystery opponent is going to be Joe Hendry because Joe Hendry just signed with WWE. I said his name. Where are you, Joe? He hasn't appeared yet. He's probably coming. But everybody thinks it's going to be Joe Hendry. What if it's Brock Lesnar? And Brock goes, the IWC, who has got such a hard-on for two guys in particular, Drew McIntyre and LA Knight. And we've already seen what's happened to Drew.
Yeah.
If they feed LA Knight to Brock Lesnar tonight, people are going to lose their goddamn minds. But I would not rule that out at all. I would not rule that out one bit for Brock Lesnar to be the guy to come in and wipe out LA Knight in about 1 minute or less. German, F5, done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll say this.
Yeah. Let me talk to you.
If
As
Brock
soon as I
wins,
find my jaw. Yeah.
if Brock wins the tournament and then Cena beats him in his last match, then that would make
pointless. It's not happening.
I know, but
Brock's not in this tournament. Brock's not in the Elton tournament.
But I'm saying that would make the WrestlePalooza thing palatable.
Yeah.
I think it's more about what Brock's about to his future opponents. I think he's about to do some stuff with Gunther and Braun Breaker. Maybe not Braun Breaker now, considering that part has changed, but Oba. The couple things I do want to mention, backtracking just a little bit, is I'm pretty sure Sheamus's first World Championship, he beat John Cena for it.
He did.
It was a table match.
On December 13th.
That was a table match, right?
Yes, it was.
Pretty sure.
People can fact check that for me, whoever's listening, if they'd like to, or I will when I'm done. But the other thing I want to make sure people who don't know and don't know that it's out there is in the Players Tribune, Rey Mysterio wrote a letter to Eddie Guerrero about Dominic Mysterio.
Talk about that.
I literally fucking cried reading it. It was so fucking special. He is literally, I'll read the first paragraph here. This is Rey Mysterio talking to Eddie Guerrero in present day, as if he had a line directly to him right now. And I'm just gonna try and just get through this
before you go there.
Yeah.
Confirmed. December 13th, TLC. Sheamus defeated John Cena.
First title. So that kind of leads me to believe that maybe John does hold on to that IC title and Sheamus completes the Grand Slam.
It's all full circle.
It's 16 years later. He wins this first championship. He wins his first IC title. I think we just cast the tea leaves and read them correctly for all of you right now.
Spoke it into existence.
So put a futures bet down on that, everybody.
Well, who did Sheamus beat Shinsuke in the tournament, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Damian Priest lost the other match.
To Rusev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the first paragraph. Let's hope I can just get through this. Ray talking directly to Eddie Guerrero. Now it's 20 years later, and I wish so bad that you could be here to see Dom's own wrestling career take flight. Dominic wasn't fully clicking as Rey Mysterio's baby boy, so he did what I'm 100% sure you would have told him to do. He turned heel and basically became Eddie Guerrero's demon boy, and that changed everything. I'll keep going. When I say you would approve of who Dom has become, Eddie, it's an understatement. You would love it, because the wrestler he is now, it feels like a love letter to so many of the things that you made so special. He has the presentation down perfect, the sleazy, no offense, stash, the terrible, no offense, mullet, the ugly, no offense, jewelry and clothes. He's got the shit-eating grin. He's got that innate ability to play off different people like you did with me, Batista, Chyna, and so many others. And I'll tell you the number one trait of Dom's that I love, that is a love letter to you, Eddie. And I bet you already can guess what I'm about to say here, too. The worse he behaves, the more they cheer. As you know, it's harder to pull this off than it looks. To be a bastard, no offense, who the fans want to embrace, flaws and all. Because even at your worst, they can see something human at the center. But that's what Dom has been able to achieve. That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, just man. That's perfect. Yeah. Can't say anything about it.
No, you can't. And I think I made the comment. I'm just waiting patiently for Dom to no-sell this. He no-sold it yesterday when he posted a picture of him and Eddie Guerrero calling him Pappy. But yeah, I mean, it is great because, you know, Rey Mysterio and Dom on screen have all these issues with each other and all that stuff. And Dominic is such a good heel in this persona that he lives his character and he never gives his dad any credit at all.
He Undertakers this. He Undertakers this aspect of his wrestling career because even you see him on different podcasts, like he was on with Logan Paul, and it's become more fleeting and more brief and more tongue in cheek, but it's still there. It's never a conversation about anything. Like at some point, someday he'll sit down and, they'll have that or whatever, but it's beautiful right now. It's exactly what it should be.
The reconciliation story between them, when they finally come back together for the right reason, I'm not going to say it's Macho, it's going to be Macho and Liz levels, but it'll be somewhere in that galaxy, that sort of thing. So,
oh, yeah.
All right, guys, good stuff all the way around. I think we've kind of touched bases on the current stuff. Let's get to what we really came here to talk about today. The Big Five Project, WrestleMania 12. Man, March 31st, 1996, Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. I'm going to apologize to anybody watching along. I do have notes. Tunney knows I take pretty copious notes about these events. So if my eye contact wavers, sorry. I might even have to put on glasses here to read my own shitty handwriting.
Dun, dun, dun. The humanity of having to put on glasses, you
I know.
The humanity of the situation. All right, so when we last left you on the Big Five Project, Shawn Michaels had just gone back-to-back Royal Rumble winners, and so Shawn was going to get the shot at the WWF champion at WrestleMania 12 in Anaheim. But, okay, come on, phone. You're not responding. There you go. Okay, so let's get into some of the other stuff that was going on. So story-wise, the main event, of course, is Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart. And a lot of this was centered around, and kind of like when I first announced the live stream of this, I said, the main tagline at the end of WrestleMania 12, of course, is the boyhood dream comes true, right? Vince McMahon saying and that is because Shawn had been unsuccessful thus far in winning the championship. He had the shot a year earlier against Diesel at WrestleMania 11, didn't come through at that point, got betrayed like the next night by Sid Justice, yep. Whatever the hell he was going, Psycho Sid. And at that point in time, Shawn turned babyface. He was gone for a while, but he came back. But, you get this sort of situation where Shawn wins the Royal Rumble. He actually, and I didn't even realize this until I started to research this stuff, Shawn had to defeat Owen Hart at In Your House 6. So there's an In Your House between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania 12 for the right to keep his WrestleMania title shot. Because, of course, Owen, this sneaky little shit that he was back then, is trying to get another shot at Bret's championship. So it's two guys who had been denied at every turn before, but Shawn would beat Owen at In Your House 6 to preserve his right to face Bret for the championship at WrestleMania 12. And, of course, Bret, in addition to what happened after WrestleMania 11, Shawn had I guess we can say a rough year, a difficult year behind the scenes, including getting his ass kicked at a bar in Sacramento, a nightclub in Sacramento in October of 1995. He had to forfeit the WWF Intercontinental Championship to Dean Douglas back at In Your House 4. He suffered a storyline concussion at the hands of Owen Hart. You got all this other stuff going on. So you've got the Shawn Michaels dynamic going on with the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart situation. And I think like we had covered, what was it, Survivor Series, I think it was 94? No. When did Bret win the WWF Championship the first time? It was 90.
He won in
94. Oh, it's 92. It was 92, the summer of 92. Flair had won, right? Because Flair won Royal Rumble in 92.
Was it a house show?
In Saskatoon.
He won. He beat Flair at a house show. Yeah.
Right. So, right. Because Flair had won the Royal Rumble in 1992. Then Flair lost it to Macho, then won it back. Then he lost it to Bret. And remember, Bret and Shawn went into that Survivor Series match. It's Survivor Series 92 with Bret being the world champion. Shawn had just the only time up until Monday night, right, that the Intercontinental Championship had ever changed hands on a Saturday night's main event.
That happened. That happened on this date in 1992, by the way. That November 14th, 1992, Shawn Michaels beat British Bulldog for the IC title at Saturday Night's Main Event. So that happened 33 years ago this day.
Yeah, that's the only time the IC title has changed hands in Saturday Night's Main Event, right?
Well,
I think.
The second, yeah. Well, the second time's coming when Sheena drops it to Sheamus because we just cracked that code, man. And when you crack a code, Chris Jericho appears, so look out for that.
Chris Jericho and Joe Hendry in the same episode. So these two have a history, and things have not gotten nasty between Shawn and Bret yet. We're moving rapidly in that direction. And what happens at WrestleMania 12, especially the aftermath, really kind of immediate aftermath, really kind of pushes that into a certain direction. Also happening at WrestleMania 12 is the return of one of Tunney's favorites, one of my favorites. Although this return is not quite all right. The Ultimate Warrior returns at WrestleMania 12. Rob, you're laughing. You are laughing about this, but I swear, and I've told this story before. I was with my first wife. We were up in a Sequoia National Park out here in California. No, not like that. I didn't load up the rocket fuel with her.
That
Or maybe
night,
I did, Rob.
Dave was the Ultimate Warrior.
That's right. Load up the rocket fuel on dead ass. Sorry. So
Did you
to anybody watching, we do get a little bit crazy here on the Attitude of Aggression at times.
Did you sprint upstairs and run out of breath?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that happens anyway, Rob, but whether I'm wearing the face paint or not. Anyhow, so the Ultimate Warrior, we talked about it on the last episode that Vince was actually trying to get the Warrior back for the Royal Rumble because he wanted more star power for that. Warrior wanted absolute control over name, image, likeness, that sort of thing. Vince was not willing to concede that. So the person who acts as the intermediary in all this and brings these two together for what's going to be a short and ill-fated return by the Warrior is Linda McMahon. And this makes sense because who inducted the Ultimate Warrior to the Hall of Fame in 2014, 2 days before he died? Honey.
Linda McMahon.
Thank you.
Did not know.
But it kind of makes sense when you think about it. Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, had an enormous amount of respect for Linda McMahon. And she was the one who brokered this deal between the Ultimate Warrior and Vince McMahon, where both sides capitulated on certain issues, and the Warrior was able to return to WrestleMania 12 in this match against Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who is not yet Triple H. He's just Hunter. We will get to the match in a little bit. Rob is already shaking his head about this whole thing and thinking, what the fuck was this? Another big thing that happens on the way to WrestleMania 12 is the situation, because we are fully into the Monday Night War at this point in time, okay? Hulk Hogan is in WCW. Macho Man's in WCW. Ted Turner has basically given Eric Bischoff the fucking blank checkbook. Said, go ahead and conquer, Eric. Do what you need to do. Sign everybody you need to sign and go forth and conquer. So Eric does that. And what they're doing, what Eric Bischoff is doing that Vince couldn't match, was brilliant on several levels. Because what Eric was doing was he's offering people guaranteed contracts for more money, right? He's offering them a lighter schedule so you don't have to work as much. He introduces Monday Nitro, which is a live show and not taped. And Eric does stuff with Nitro that Vince was not yet willing to do. There's unexpected returns. There's title changes that you don't expect. He had that light heavyweight division or the cruiserweight division that was dynamic and had all these great stars like what? Eddie, was Eddie there at this point in time? I'm not sure.
Eddie,
Ray was there.
Ray, Hoovy, shit, man. Mystico. They would bring in who's some of the older masked luchadors.
Yeah.
La Parka.
Yeah.
I mean,
Psychosis. Was Psychosis there?
Psychosis, yes. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, you go back and look at clips of like, I mean, Juventud Guerrera when he was in his peak and like had his head in the game against Rey Mysterio. I remember some of those matches were ridiculous. Chavo was there, Dean Malenko. Then you throw like then all of a sudden you throw a Dean Malenko into that division, right? And you're like, holy shit, that was so crazy. Like the high flyer had to deal with this ground technician, right? It was
So
it was some of
Vince
the best shit in wrestling. Dave Meltzer was probably fucking nutting in cups all night back then, watching the
God,
cruiserweight
can you
division.
imagine if Will Ospreay had been there in WCW back then, Rob? I mean, it would have been all over for Dave.
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Dave would have had no hope. Yeah.
10 stars for everything.
But yeah, Vince couldn't match that. And Raw felt really, because of the tape nature of it, Raw felt stale. And WCW, even before the NWO formation, which is coming up in just a few months, was steadily gaining momentum, right? They had clearly established that people on certain levels weren't sick of Hulk, although they're going to burn out on him between here and what happens in a few months, that's for sure. But WCW had all the momentum at this point in time. To that point, two of the biggest stars in WWF at this point in time, Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, they both give their notice to Vince McMahon, saying, we are going to WCW, we're taking the money, we're taking the lighter schedule, we're gone. Now, as far as Scott Hall was concerned, he was going to go, I think he was going to face Goldust or something like that for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 12. As soon as he put in his notice and coincidentally failed a piss test around the same time, that gave Vince all the excuse he needed to send Scott Hall packing. And that was the end of the line for Razor Ramon. As far, I'm not sure, when does the curtain call take place, before or after WrestleMania 12?
It was after. It was like in April or May.
Okay, so he's not complete. He was cut out of WrestleMania 12 because Vince certainly did not want to pay him the WrestleMania bonus. I don't really blame him for that. Diesel, on the other hand, was already slated to face the Undertaker, and we saw the origin of this feud at the May 19th. So okay, it's a couple months later is when the curtain call takes place.
You think Hunter was already getting punished having to face the Ultimate Warrior in this minute and 19-second match coming up?
You really did. You really did. So Diesel begins feuding with the Warrior. We saw him interfering in the bout between Undertaker and Bret Hart at the 96 Royal Rumble, which we all thought went on a little bit too long, that sort of thing. Undertaker then responded by interfering in Diesel's match. He had a Steel Cage Championship match against Bret Hart at In Your House 6. And In Your House 6 sounds like it was a damn good card, right?
What was it called? In Your House 6? Yeah, what was the tag to it?
Hell,
I gotta go back and look.
Yeah, I'm operating off. I'm gonna put it over. I'm operating off Grokkapedia here, not Wikipedia. I'm looking at Grokkapedia and seeing how they're. For the first time, I'm kind of like, okay, let's see how they handle this whole thing. So yeah, this is the one where Undertaker pulls Diesel under the ring. Everybody remembers this. It cost Diesel a match. Diesel's battling Barry Horowitz. I mean, there's all this Rage in the Cage. Okay, that makes sense. So. There's a lot of stuff leading into this match. I remember they roll the casket to ringside. You guys remember this, the Undertaker's casket, and Diesel's got like a wrench and he opens the casket expecting to smash the Undertaker's head in, and he sees his own corpse lying in there, and he just he's just mortified by this whole thing. And I mean, this is important because this match, and I'll say it when we get to it in earnest as we review this. To me, in my opinion, this is where the streak really begins. With this match with Diesel at WrestleMania 12. I know it begins several years earlier, but I think this is the match that really kind of establishes the streak in a little way. We said like Razor Ramon and Goldust were going to fight, but Razor, of course, got wiped out because he threw in his notice. So they morphed this thing into a street fight between Razor Ramon, it was going to be a street fight between Razor Ramon and Goldust, but then it morphs into Rowdy Roddy Piper and Goldust in this Hollywood Backlot Brawl that Roddy Piper takes Razor Ramon's place. The street fight becomes the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. And man, I did not know. Now, if this is true, I've never heard this before. Before all this shit happened, Piper was penciled in to have a celebrity match against O.J. Simpson after O.J. had been acquitted of the murder.
That sounds a lot like Vince. That's very Vince. That doesn't surprise me. Like, I believe that. I believe that. It's crazy how, none of my mind thinks that that's not true. Like, he definitely ran in the same circles.
According to this, despite getting into contact with OJ's representatives, the WWF abandoned their plans due to fears of potential public backlash and a loss of sponsorship. But just a few years earlier, you guys had Sergeant Slaughter running down the United States of America during the Iraqi Operation Desert Whatever, having OJ as now. Okay, you're going too fucking far there, guys. That's way too far. We can't do that. But I'd never heard that before. But I agree with Tony, Rob. That sounds like the crazy shit Vince would have done back then, dude. Let's be honest.
At the least, AC would have been his second. So,
absolutely.
Yes. Al Cowlings as the second in the corner, and Roddy. I'm not sure who Robbie would have had.
Do you guys still remember where you were when the chase came on TV? Because my dad and my uncle and my grandpa were getting ready to go on a fishing trip to Canada, and whenever they did that, they'd have a meeting with all the guys and go over like a checklist of make sure you bring all this shit, kind of figure it out. And we were watching the Houston Rockets and the New York Knicks play in the finals, and it cut away to the white Bronco, and I was like, shit.
So I remember I was in law school when all this O.J. Simpson shit was going on, and when he got acquitted, the news stations were outside the law school because they wanted to get our take on everything, and I'm like,
for sure.
Fuck.
Do you remember the dancing Itos on Jay Leno?
Yeah. And there's so many things about that trial that I'm not even going to get into it. All I'll say is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Learn what that standard is, and you will understand why O.J. Simpson walked. Whether you agree with it or not, whether we all think he did it or not, it doesn't. Anyway.
Because there was
So
actually
anyway,
the ESPN documentary about it was very good.
You know what was even better?
what's that?
The Jackie Childs spoof on Seinfeld. Who told you to put the bomb on? I didn't tell you to put the bomb on.
All right. You guys ready to get into the actual card here? Let's get into
Yeah, let's go.
No.
All right. So, as I said, WrestleMania 12, March 31st, 1996, the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim, California. The first of 2 WrestleManias that will be in Anaheim, California. We've got Vince and Jerry Lawler on commentary. I'm sorry, Tony, Vince is still showing up in commentary at this point. We haven't quite got rid of that problem, I know how,
We'll get
how
there.
fun
This wasn't horrible. I mean, it wasn't great, but whatever.
It's not. And I tell you, without Vince's comment at the end of the match with Shawn, the boyhood dream comes true. It doesn't, you got to give it to the man. It's like I'm not giving him credit for shit.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, when we get to, I have one huge problem with the Iron Man match. So we'll get there.
Okay.
I do.
Well,
I do. Yeah.
There's of course, there's things you can say about the Iron Man match. Let's not kid ourselves. I mean, it's very good. There are a couple of issues. So anyway, let's see. One big difference between WrestleMania 12 and WrestleMania 11 was, remember at WrestleMania 11, where Vince made the brilliant fucking decision to put Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow as the main event of WrestleMania 11, instead of having Diesel versus Shawn Michaels as the main event for WrestleMania 11, which all of us universally, and just about every wrestling fan I know, hopefully the 32 of you guys who are in the live stream right now, I assume all of you would agree with us that.
Yeah, by the way, if you're in the live stream and you disagree or have a comment on whatever we're talking about, reply on X. We'll kind of talk back with you. There's open discussion for you.
Yeah. Except that Rob is a genius. We can't debate that. That's
not until at least he tells everybody and announces it on his name under there.
Well, yes.
Rookie mistake. Pal.
Well, I guess we could still dispute that until he changes that. Anyway,
this isn't Bret Hart versus Michael Hickenbottom, okay?
Ooh. Giving our government names here, shit. But a big difference. Excuse me, sorry guys. One of the big differences here is we talked about WrestleMania 11 had a lot of celebrities involved. You had the Lawrence Taylor's thing. You had Jenny McCarthy. You had, Pam Anderson. How can I forget? That sort of thing.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas. You had the other dude. There was a lot of celebrity. Burt Reynolds was there as well. Nick Turturro. Was Turturro the Bell guy?
Nick Turturro. Was Rhonda Shear there, or was that the year before? That was the year before. I got it wrong. That was 10. Anyway. That's all here, neither here nor there. The big thing that Vince does different at WrestleMania 12 is he basically says no celebrities. We want this show to stand on its own, no celebrity involvement, which may have been a big influence as to why they didn't pull the trigger, no pun intended, on the whole O.J. Simpson thing. Why he said, I don't want any celebrities. I don't want to do anything with that.
No.
You're right, O.J.
No, that didn't happen. Why that didn't want that?
I thought you were going to say that didn't happen. Getting his ass kicked by Roddy Piper.
He would have went over. OJ they would have cheered him. That's how Vince would have got him to come in. Hey, guess what, OJ? I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to pay you, and when you leave, people are going to cheer you. That would have Vince's pitch. I guarantee it.
Oh, maybe. I don't know about Anaheim. Maybe somewhere else, but maybe not Anaheim. All right. But anyway, that's one of the big things, the big difference between 12 and 11 is that, Tony, I thought you were going to say, no, that didn't happen because OJ used a knife and not a gun. I thought that's what you were going to tell me.
Tony.
Okay. We have no proof of any of this. Innocent till proven guilty sort of thing. And he was proven innocent.
Erase the last 3 minutes of footage. Thank you.
So there's no celebrities involved in this. So that's a big difference. And it kind of shows that Vince is looking at, what's going on in wrestling at this point in time and realizing, hey, I've got to get more serious. So this is all part of this shift in mentality that Vince is going to undergo, especially over the next year. A big shift in things over the next year as far as like getting more serious. We still got these remnants of these silliness and some of these characters that are going on here at WrestleMania 12. But yeah, that's one of the big things that comes out about WrestleMania 12 is that there's no celebrity involvement. And then we go to the first match, which is Vader, who had debuted at the Royal Rumble 1996. And Vader, when he came in, basically told Vince, hey, look, I could show up at the Rumble, but my shoulder's really jacked up. I need surgery on this thing. Vince was like, sure, get surgery. You can be off for a few months to recover and that sort of thing. And then as they get closer to WrestleMania 12, Vince basically tells Vader, hey, I need you, pal. I need you, pal. We got to get you this useless ass 6-man tag match to kick off WrestleMania 12.
Vintage Vince.
Yeah, I need you, pal. Come on, pal. I need you here. So we start off the event with this 6-man tag team match. Vader with Jim Cornette, Owen Hart, and the British Bulldog versus the mighty Yokozuna, Ahmed Johnson, and Jake the Snake Roberts. This random pairing of people on one side, it's like, what the hell's going on? So the fact that Vince brought Vader back early is one thing. I think he did what he did the best he could to protect him in this match, but it sure seems like he needed somebody there to kind of match or offset Yoko's size, strength, power, and they teased this match between them at the Royal Rumble. So you get this involvement. If Yoko, and there's a stipulation, an extra stipulation in this match, if Yokozuna's team won, then he would get 5 minutes all alone with Jim Cornette. And I say this random grouping of these guys together is like, what are we doing here? But I will say this, for a 6-man tag team match, this is actually a pretty damn good match. I didn't have a big problem with this thing. Yoko is dominant, and the crowd pops big time for him, which a couple years ago, would you ever in your wildest dream thought Yokozuna was going to get a big pop from the crowd? I would never have imagined it.
No.
And the crowd really goes off for Yokozuna when he beats down Vader. Sorry about your shoulder, Leon, but I'm going to have to beat your ass down here. Jake ends up being the key to this match, though, as he kicks out of Davey Boy Smith's running power slam. Jake then is going to win it after he hits Owen with the dreaded DDT. Cornette interferes, though. Jake turns his attention to hitting Cornette with the DDT, but Vader is going to attack Jake from behind, hits him with a Vader bomb, and gets the victory for his team. So yeah, it's Jake's team has this thing won because you get that great moment with the Jake the Snake Roberts DDT, which even all these years later, and despite the fact that the DDT's been watered down by many people, I'm not going to say everybody, but many people and their mother executing it all the time, Jake's is still the most devastating DDT in all of WWF or all of wrestling. And they sell it really well in this thing. And yeah, you really want to see Jim Cornette get hit with the DDT, but Jake's obsession to do that is going to cost them. And at least Vince brought back Vader early and allows Vader to be the guy to get the pin. And we get to see the Vader bomb. And there's just a lot of really high spottish moments, not high spots from the standard of like risky moves or that sort of thing, but just like the stuff you're looking for. Davey Boy's running power slam, the DDT, the big behemoth, meaty men slapping giant slabs of big ass meat in this match with Yoko and Vader. I thought this match was really good for a 6-man tag team match. And this is like, for people who are looking for wrestling terminology, the whole notion of, what we talk about in wrestling parlance as a curtain jerker and a match that you want to use to get the crowd going. This was done really well. Rob, I want to go to you first. Your thoughts on this opening 6-man tag team match. What'd you think of it? And you just in general, that sort of thing.
I did think it was a good opener, and like, it was kind of a weird mix of people. But look, I was one of the biggest Jake fans back in the day, so seeing him again was cool for me. And it was weird seeing Vader in WWE, to be honest, and because they never quite got where they could have gotten with him there.
You think that was injury related, or were there other reasons involved with it?
It was injury related. It was Shawn related, because that was a big mess with after SummerSlam with him and Shawn. But it was both. But it was still cool to see him there, and to see him debut there. And look, I'm an old NWA mark, so seeing Jim Cornette do his thing is always fun. So for me, it was good.
Tony, what did you think of this opening match?
This was originally supposed to be a Survivor Series style match, elimination match, but I guess because of time or whatever, they changed it. But even though it was only so many people, it was okay. I mean, I don't enjoy watching Yokozuna at this stage anymore. I don't want to be morbid or anything, but he's pretty big. So, but it was fine. It was, it was Camp Cornette against the Faces. So, it got the job done.
Yeah, I thought it was well done, and maybe because of Vader's injury status wasn't going to be real amenable to like a Survivor Series sort of situation. Because I mean, I say that, but I guess him and Yoko could have just gone to war outside the ring. Both of them got counted out in the first minute. Would anybody have been the wiser or really have complained about it? Probably not, right? I
Right.
mean,
True.
okay. We get the first part of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl. And the interesting thing about this is they do this match in two parts. And the first part of this match, the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, was they actually filmed this 3 weeks before WrestleMania. So they did all this first part of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl 3 weeks before WrestleMania. And when we get to the second part, like the bloodstained clothing that the guys are wearing, like Goldust and Piper are wearing in the second half of the match, is the same stuff that they had from 3 weeks earlier. They just didn't wash it or get rid of any of this stuff. So that is dedication to this storyline and to putting this over in a glorious, glorious fucking way. And it's really well done. I mean, this Backlot Brawl is going to go down in history as one of those matches in WrestleMania history that you absolutely remember, right? I mean, it is iconic as in different way as the Iron Man match, right? Because it's just like, you don't see this kind of stuff going on. And I mean, so I mean, we'll get into it here. So in the first half of this Hollywood Backlot Brawl, you got Goldust showing up in a gold Cadillac. A gold Cadillac. I mean, let's really sell the shit out of this thing. Roddy is going to beat the hell out of Goldust with a baseball bat. And a bunch of, I mean, they're in the back lot, right? And there's outdoor catering. I don't know why they've got catering going on outside, but they do. And Roddy uses the outdoor catering to his absolute advantage, beating the shit out of Goldust with anything that's not nailed down in catering. Roddy also uses a fire hose to maximum effectiveness. Goldust is going to gain the advantage with a low blow, because nothing levels the playing field like a nut shot, guys. And he's actually then going to hit Roddy with the Cadillac and takes off. And Roddy recovers, jumping in, you guys guessed it, a white Ford Bronco to give chase. And I've heard one of the big things about this is Roddy taking that shot full stuntman fashion with the Cadillac. He did that because his son Colt was very young at this point in time. And Colt's on, he's watching WrestleMania 12, like somewhere backstage or something like that. And I think this is the part where Goldust runs into Roddy and throws him on the hood of the Cadillac. It's in this first part, right? He did that to pay back somebody, an executive of WWE who was watching his son as all this stuff is going on for filming for WrestleMania. Do you want to hazard a guess who that executive backstage watching Roddy Piper's son was?
Who's the NBC exec guy?
Dick Ebersol?
Not
no.
Dick Ebersol.
Is it WWE executive?
WWE executive.
Oh, Gorilla Monsoon?
Nice try, but no.
Jim Ross?
Rob's thinking. No, it wasn't Jim Ross. It was the man himself, Vince McMahon, was watching his son. So Vince is watching his son. So Roddy agrees to do this spot to kind of pay Vince back for babysitting his son. It's like, I don't know if one of these equals the other, Roddy. I mean, you're talking about getting hit by a car. And it's great that, that Roddy is such a good stuntman that he was able to basically get kneecapped in this whole situation. But that, that you got that whole thing in the first half ends with, go ahead.
He shaved a couple years off of his career, being able to do a lot more things because of that spot, right? I mean, he probably could have had another world title run if he could have moved better because of this accident.
No, it didn't help.
Absolutely did not help.
This was probably like the nail in the coffin for him being able to like do any kind of main event work anymore.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help. It was, I mean, you get this, like if anybody's played more of the recent WWE 2K games, right? They've got that mode, Backstage Brawl. And that is really patterned after what we saw here, because anything that is not nailed down is fair game in this massive fight backstage. The first half of this match is a hell of a fight. That is all you can say. These guys beat the shit out of each other. Yeah, the stunt at the end is awesome. Roddy getting into a white Bronco. And as WrestleMania 12 progresses from here, we're going to get footage of Roddy Piper chasing after Goldust. That looks, I don't know, guys, it kind of looks eerily familiar. I'm not sure where they got this footage from. There's something familiar about everything that we see for the rest of WrestleMania 12. I don't know, Tony. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Just to show we're not even on this point of WrestleMania yet, but we will respond to if you want to talk to us here in the stream. A friend of ours, the chair shot villain. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm not going to let you find out this is a plant, but a friend of ours has messaged us, obviously not listening to the discussion, but wants to let us know at some point down the road, we're going to get to the main event. His discussion point is the Iron match is one of the most overhyped matches in WrestleMania history. You know I'm right. What a villain. We can circle back to that later.
Overhyped.
Circle back to that. Start that conversation later.
I'm gonna keep that in my.
But just to say, anybody who's watching right now, whatever we're talking about, feel free to drop us a line on X, and we'll start a conversation with you.
Please, please drop us a line on X, or if you're watching on YouTube, you can send me something there.
There you go.
We'll do our best to answer that, or I don't even know if there's a live chat. Maybe there is, but I'm not sure. But thank you for keeping an eye on that, Tunney. I appreciate that. Let's move on to a big moment in WrestleMania history, because it is the WrestleMania debut of a certain individual who is going to be, I don't know if major player is a gross understatement or just a horrifically gross understatement on my part. It's one or the other. But Steve Austin, the $1 million champion at this point in time. And I think he's the ringmaster, right, Rob? Is he still the ringmaster at this point in time?
I think so.
Most definitely the ringmaster.
He shows up as $1 million champ. Ted DiBiase is his air quoting manager, because they don't really have managers anymore. But Ted is his manager, to take on Savio Vega. And look, it's another very good match. The guys, I think there's a few places where I think they try to do too much in this match. That's the one complaint I have about it. There's just a few places where they're trying to do too much or trying to make too many things happen. And it just, Savio just doesn't. And here's my criticism of this. Savio doesn't have, in my opinion, Savio doesn't have the skill set necessary to pull this off as well as I think they wanted to do. And I'm not trying to be overly critical of Savio Vega, but, Steve's working with he's used to working with, Steve's just coming from BCW where he was working hour-long matches with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and shit like that. And Savio obviously does not have the skill set of a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Yeah, that, and Brian Pillman and the Hollywood Blondes, exactly, that sort of thing. And what's great about this is as this match, and this ties into what I was just saying, as this match is going on, Vince is getting cell phone calls from Roddy Piper combined with intersplicing.
What'd you do? Where's my kid? You were watching him.
Yeah, and Roddy's out. I took this fucking spot for you. So they're chasing. He's getting these phone calls. We get this very familiar, I'm just saying, very familiar footage of a Ford Bronco going down the highway with cops chasing after him. I don't know. I'm just not saying it's the same footage as OJ, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm trying to keep kayfabe alive here, guys. I'm doing the best. Anyway.
That son of a bitch has been life support for a while, Dave.
The tone of the match here, though, despite all this shit going on in the back, it changes when Savio Vega knocks the ref out with that spinning heel kick he does. DiBiase is going to take advantage of this by passing Austin the $1 million belt. Austin waffles Savio Vega with the belt, not once but twice. He then locks on the $1 million dream. DiBiase revives the referee, who calls the match off by way of submission for Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think he is being called Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's still the ringmaster. So here's another one like we talked about earlier. This is a character who is evolving at this point in time. And Austin, I think, doesn't Austin still have a little bit of hair at this point in time? Not much, but just a little bit of hair at this point in time. That's going to be gone by the time we get to King of the Ring. But it's a huge moment. Austin gets the win over Savio Vega in his debut match at WrestleMania. And guys, this is just the beginning of not just a Hall of Fame career, arguably the most important career in the history of professional wrestling.
Before we talk about the beginning, let's talk about the end of Savio Vega's run, because it's really good.
There yet.
Well, but it's downhill from here.
Yes.
His peak in WWE is over.
Well,
his peak is King of the Ring, 94.
95. He got to the finals against Mabel. He got to the finals against Mabel.
So this is last year.
I know you're trying to forget that happened.
Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah. I would need like 3 minutes of studying to revitalize my whole knowledge of King of the Ring that I have. But yeah, and now to be like WrestleMania match with Stone Cold Steve Austin is excellent. But You know, it's just you see Austin been getting more of an attitude since Royal Rumble here, right? And just kind of building towards that character that eventually, thank God we didn't get Ice Dagger or Frost McFang, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh, don't worry. We're about to get fake Diesel and fake Razor coming up really soon here.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
to
I'm
really
just saying. Those were some of the names that were pitched to him by WWE when he decided he wanted to be edgier.
Holy shit. I got nothing. But no, like you're saying, this is a solid match though, right? I mean, I like this match. It was great. DiBiase paying dividends. And I did kind of say, you don't really have managers at this point in time, but everything DiBiase did in this match screams manager. Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah.
Or Jimmy Hart. Or, blatant interference and helping your man win. Rob, I'm going to ask you to move that beautiful face of yours a little bit more in screen, buddy. Just, because we're up to like 50 some people on the stream now, Rob. They want to see you. They want to see that beautiful face of the genius. And you're much better looking than Lanny Poffo. I'll just say that right now. Your thoughts on Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Savio Vega and just kind of like what this means at this point in time, because we're in the gestational phase of what's about to happen.
But man, if this was Pee Wee's Playhouse, we'd be going crazy right now for gestational. That was the word of the day.
Thank you. The word of the day is bitch. Can you say bitch? Go up to your mama and say bitch.
I just said it was. I just said it was gestational. God damn it.
Sorry. All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Rob. I'm just diverting there a little bit.
No problem. Yeah, this is one of those matches where it's the beginning of something, and he's still figuring out what he's going to be in in this new company. But again, it's a big starting point. And like you said, Savio Vega had been there for a while since this was like his last real big feud with Austin, that he had there. But it was overall this was a good. I thought it was good. Again, this for historical purposes, it's a really big deal.
It really is. Such a huge moment. I mean, yeah, like Tony's saying, Savio's high water mark, unfortunately, was King of the Ring 1995 against Mabel. And I am reading
this is it. No, it's this. It's this.
It probably is. Putting Steve Austin over.
The
yeah,
Bill.
Okay, you're right.
It is.
Right.
I mean, come on. There's not a lot of Stone Cold WrestleMania matches, to be honest with you.
True.
Well,
all right.
We got
you can count them on two hands.
Well, you can. That's true. Because he only lasts for like less than a decade. And I do see the chair shot villains point here. I see his post. Thank you.
We'll
get to that. We'll get to that, Patrick. We'll get to that. Yeah, good stuff all the way around with the beginning of the Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, and the trajectory of Stone Cold over the next 3 years, other than the injury that he sustains, that sort of thing. It's pretty epic stuff that's going on. So anyway, let's move on, because this is a part that is a sore spot for the man in charge of WWE right now, the one and only Paul Levesque, aka Triple H.
Brief though. It's brief.
Triple H shows up with Sable. Now, Sable and Mark Merrow, also known as Johnny B. Bad and BCW, they end up in WWE like weeks before this match happens, because Mark Merrow could not agree on a contract with Eric Bischoff. And Vince basically, and this is a point where people are switching alliances and going back and forth between the companies. It hasn't gone completely crazy yet, but it's about to get there.
Have you ever heard Mark Merrow tell the story about finding out that Sable was sleeping with Brock Lesnar?
Oh yes, it is hilarious.
I've not heard that. When did that?
It is hilarious.
Okay, I'll give you the short version. Basically, Mark Merrow found out through the tea leaves and the grapevine backstage that Sable was cheating on him. And he was so pissed off, and he told everybody he was going to fucking whoop this guy's ass and everything else. And they found out it was Brock Lesnar, and he was like, I just decided to move on.
I'm good.
I just decided to move on. I just decided to move on. I just decided to move on. I got over it real quick. Really quick, I got over it, he said.
That may have been one of the best decisions Mark ever made. In hindsight. Yeah. It's like, you don't want to, there's certain people you don't pick a fight with. Brock Lesnar's one of them. So,
Yeah.
So it's like, you want to do what to my wife? Sure. I'm good with that. That's fine.
Oh, dude, and don't worry. In a couple of weeks, she won't be my wife anymore.
But there's a couple things going on. Is Mark Merrow and his wife, what was her, Rena? I think that was her real name. I don't remember, but somebody can look at it. I think it's her. Yeah. So Mark Merrow can't reach an agreement with Eric Bischoff 3 weeks before WrestleMania 12. He ends up in WWE. Now we're not going to really see much of Mark. He's going to play a big role in King of the Ring 96, we get to see that coming up. But Sable shows up with Triple H for this match against the returning Ultimate Warrior. Backstage is a lot of stuff like Triple H did not want to bury the pedigree. And he knew what Jim Hellwig was going to want to do on this match. And he flat out, Warrior told Hunter, yeah, you'll hit me with the pedigree. I'm going to no-sell it and squash you. And Triple H was adamantly against this. You asked him to this day, he'll be like, I didn't want to, just bury the pedigree like that. Gerald Briscoe was also saying, yeah, don't let him bury your finishing move like that. And they went to Jim Hellwig and pleaded their case to him, says, hey, let's make this more competitive. Let's give the fans something good. Triple H is a guy on the come up at this point in time. He's tagged to win King of the Ring until the curtain call fucks that whole situation up. But he's wanting a more competitive match here. And Jim Hellwig's having no part of it. That's not going to work for me, brother. I need to squash your ass. So we get the match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley, not Triple H. Let me clarify, not Triple H yet. Hunter Hearst Helmsley with the prominent proboscis, as Jerry the King Lawler says, leading into the match, takes on the returning Ultimate Warrior, who, look, the outcome of the match notwithstanding, the guy gets a massive reaction from the fans in Anaheim. I mean, they're wanting to see him. And I started the story and you guys didn't let me finish because Tony distracted me. He's known to do that, folks listening at home. I was at Sequoia National Park with my first wife and we were up there and I knew the Ultimate Warrior. I had not watched WWE since not seriously watched it since WrestleMania X. Here and there, yes. But when I found out the Warrior was returning at WrestleMania 12, I told my first wife, I said, babe, we got to get back. I got to watch WrestleMania 12. Hug the tree one last time. Let's get our ass in the car and get back home so I can watch WrestleMania 12. There's some big trees up there, Rob. I'm just saying, sequoia trees are the largest trees in the world. So it's hard to hug them. You can kind of hug them, but at least mythically, mentally. Anyway, I was not alone in my excitement. Just let it go, Tony. It's okay. There's a point to all this. I was not alone in my excitement for the Ultimate Warrior wanting to return. And everybody in the Anaheim pond, they all popped for this thing.
How excited was your wife?
She didn't give a shit.
Oh, okay.
My present wife would have probably been like, who? What are we fucking doing here? You're going to drag me? No, my present wife would have kicked my ass. She would have
said, she would have been like, is there also a penultimate warrior?
No, she would have been like, that's not going to work for me, brother. So,
Good for her.
Yeah. So the fans love the return of the Ultimate Warrior. It is one of the most controversial squash matches in WrestleMania history. And it goes down just like Hunter and Jerry Briscoe and all these other guys did not want it to go down, where Hunter takes advantage, gets a few moves in, hits the pedigree. Warrior sells the shit out of this, stands right up, starts doing the Warrior stuff.
Just terrible.
It's clothesline, press slam, splash, and not just pin Hunter, but kneeling on his chest with his arms to the sky. It's so bad that W25 puts this exact finisher in the game where it's like, what is going on here, guys? I can't believe that Triple H actually approved them to put that in the game. Maybe he doesn't know, but it's a travesty. Thankfully, he probably doesn't care, but thankfully this is not the death knell, because this could have been, this could have been devastating to a guy's career like Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He's trying to get his gimmick over, and it actually probably in the long run helps him, because a lot of people felt bad for him because this happened. And then as things are going to go on and Hunter Hearst Helmsley becomes who he becomes, nobody gives a shit anymore. And it just, if there's any doubt in your mind, and of course this is still 96, so the internet's just now kind of becoming a thing, but you're still not getting all the backstage info like we're getting now. But had it been available, we would have said, oh yeah, that's Jim Hellwig for you there. He's just a prick. Oh, and that's who he is. And looking back on it now, is it any doubt that this last run he has with WWE does not last but a few months? Because this is his mentality. I'm bigger than the business. I'm bigger than all this stuff. You do what I tell you to do. It is the same attitude he's had ever since he got that 3 count against Hogan at WrestleMania 6. I should be the biggest thing in the business and every bit as big as everybody else. And it just doesn't work. Rob, your thoughts on this match?
Oh, man, the word bury is used too often, but good grief. This is the worst. The absolute worst. I don't know. This would be grounds to have a fight the guy backstage. It really would be. Yeah. It's rare that you feel sorry for Hunter Hearst Helmsley, but this is one of those times. Because It was bad.
Yeah, it's as bad as you can get. I mean, it's funny. It's one of those situations where when you watch it happen live, you pop for it. I think all of us did because yeah, Warrior's back. Yeah, kick his ass. But this is one of those aspects of WrestleMania where you look at it as an analyst many years later, like we are. You're like, that was just as bad as it gets.
Well,
But
if you
Johnny,
knew who
did you pop? Did you pop for it when it happened?
I did not see WrestleMania 12 live.
Me neither.
Okay.
But watching it on VHS, yeah, because I was a Warrior guy, but because no one knew who the fuck Triple H was. No one knew who Hunter Hearst Helmsley was. Like, I knew who he was from Superstars. Like, I knew, like, the riding jacket and the pulled back tight, hair ponytail. But, like, it didn't. He wasn't, like, no one really cared. No one really cared. If you cared that much, were you a Terra Rising fan at that point? You were so, like, looking forward to him being in WWE at that point? Like, come on. No one gave a shit about him. We know now that at this point in his life, he was riding with the Clique because we're, like, less than 2 months away from the curtain call. So, but at the time, no one gave a shit. Yeah, of course. Like, this is not just Warrior. This isn't Jim Hellwig, 100%. A lot of it, yeah, he's a hard person to work with. But this is Vince giving into him. Vince is letting this happen. Vince is telling Paul, hey, you're going to go out there and you want a WrestleMania match this year? Okay, great. Here's what we're going to, no matter what, you want a WrestleMania match, right? Okay, this is what's going to happen. So I think that's more of the scenario we're looking at.
Yeah, and I think it raises a couple of good points. That first off, the Clique is not the power faction that they've evolved into fully yet, right? Even though you've got Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, but they're leaving. And they just don't have, the Clique doesn't have the stroke yet where they could go to Vince and say, no, man, I ain't doing any of that shit. Vince is also so desperate for a marquee name to try and battle back against Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage that it's the Warrior. So he's going to capitulate a lot.
And we didn't even mention that one of the dark matches was the Nacho Man against the Huckster,
Was that the dark match?
One of the free-for-all matches.
Yeah.
The other one was, I think, the Body Donnas against the Godwins or something.
So at least we got a sunny sighting somewhere out of this whole thing.
Sunny side up.
There's some sunny days coming.
Well, we'll get there, yeah.
Right.
Very apropos considering our main event.
Yeah, exactly. This is just bad. Backstage after this happens, though, Triple H is so upset about what happens that he goes and takes it out by brawling with the newcomer, the wild man, Mark Marrow. So there is a Mark Marrow sighting here, Rob. I mean, it's like, he's all like, hey, Mark, thanks for letting me borrow your wife. Now I'm going to beat your ass. That sort of thing backstage.
Well, part of the build-up to the match, though, was the Ultimate Warrior, was mad, was friends with Mark Marrow because he had already had beef with Triple H.
All right. I can live with that. I mean, but it's good. I mean, frustrated Triple H obviously goes back and gets into it with Mark Marrow. I mean, it makes sense, the whole thing. Let's move into Diesel versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer. So I said it earlier that I think this match is where the streak begins in earnest, because up until this point, think about who Undertaker had beaten, right? And I think we've mentioned this before. He beats Jimmy Superfly Snuka at 7. Okay. It's a squash. Yeah. He shrugs off like what? 2 Jake the Snake Roberts DDTs at WrestleMania 8, including one of them on the ring floor.
Yeah,
to beat Jake the Snake Roberts.
No sold everything.
All right, that's good.
And
WrestleMania 9.
Jake was leaving, by the way. So
Jake was leaving. WrestleMania 9 had Tony's favorite match in the entire streak of the Undertakers against the Giant Gonzalez with chlorophyll. I don't know. Ooh, yeah, something stinks out here.
There's no need for blasphemy on the podcast tonight, Dave. Not at all. Okay.
So we get the
that skin tight suit aside.
Yeah, we get the bullshittery of WrestleMania 9. He's not at WrestleMania 10. At 11, he beats King Kong Bundy. So, okay. So we're looking at, he's 1, 2, 3, 4-0 at this point in time, right? Okay. Yeah. Nothing really stands out. Not a marquee victory. Nothing that you could sit there and say, man, that is a stamp on it until this match. And you got to give Kevin Nash credit because he knows he's on his way out. Vince must have thought enough about Kevin Nash and the work that he had done in the build to this match to let him have a WrestleMania payday. And it's probably because he realized I got to do something to really put Mark over. in this situation. But for it, I mean, we can get into the whole, what Patrick's asking is the Iron Man match overhyped? Is it overrated? You could make an argument that this Diesel Undertaker match may be the best match on the card, honestly, if you think about it.
Nash told an interesting story about this match when he was on the Broken Skull thing with Austin. So he was leaving, and he was pretty, in his own words, he was pretty much kind of mentally checked out. But Taker was going through a divorce, so Taker went to him and said, "Look, you lay the match out, man. My head's not in this." So he was like, "What in the hell? I'm leaving, dude." So, but he ended up having to put the match together. Because you said Taker just admitted he just wasn't thinking about anything else.
I think it was a regardless situation, though, where like Kevin was working with somebody where no matter what the circumstance was, he wanted to have a good match. Like he didn't want to go out and like he knows what WrestleMania is. He knows what working with Taker is. It wasn't that coinciding thing at the time. It was building towards it, like you're mentioning, Dave, being one of the first big ones. But he knew enough at the time that I don't want to have a stinker on WrestleMania. This is going to be, everybody watches this shit forever. This is the 12th one. There's going to be a million of them, and Taker's going to be here forever. So I think it's just like, hey, let me add to my body of work.
Oh, sure. And also, like you were saying, Dave, this was the first good match of the streak.
And a damn good match.
Yeah. Because like you said, all the previous ones, they were against washed up guys who were leaving, guys who weren't any good, like Giant Gonzalez.
Tuddy's favorite, Giant Gonzalez.
So
there it is, kids. There it is. For you guys watching live, Tuddy leaning in and raising an eyebrow. We haven't had that much on the audio versions, but.
So this was the first match. This was the first good match of the streak.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was good.
And I'll go so far. It's an excellent match. It's a damn good fight. Here's a Diesel fucks around in this match too much, especially he hits Undertaker with 2 jackknives. Not 1, but 2. But he never goes for the cover right away. And this is going to allow Undertaker to do what he does, which is his trademark sit-up.
Yeah.
Undertaker then takes command, puts Big Daddy Cool down forever, basically with a tombstone. The streak goes to 5-0 with, well, like I said, what is easily the best match of the early part of the streak. It's a good fight. And yeah, I mean, there are moments in this match when you think Diesel's going to win this thing. But like I said, he just kind of screws around, especially he hits not 1, but he hits 2 jackknives and never bothers to go for the cover.
And also, like, if you weren't wise to the sheets and all that stuff, you didn't know Diesel was leaving.
Right. I didn't know. And the fact like him and Razor are going to be there for 2 more months or a month and a half. I mean, so it's not like this immediate sort of.
Nobody knew. Like the percentage of people like that are casual fans at that point is like so minute. Like it's not anything like now. Nobody knew what anybody's contract was. There was no reporting on any of that. Like
Meltzer wasn't spreading lies. And
the funnier story from that interview though is Nash's exit from W, where he convinced them that his heart wasn't in it anymore and that he was going to go back to like, running clubs, and they gave him his release, and then he went in and to the WCW office and faxed it to WWE so he could come over and be Diesel.
Oh, he went from being Oz. Yeah. He was like, enough of this Oz bullshit. It's a damn good match though. And this really kind of does set, because when you look at like a year from now, Undertaker's going to go from this match to beating Psycho Sid for the WWF Championship in 1 year. So this really catapult. And I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen in 96 because you get the introduction of arguably Undertaker's greatest rival of all time. And what that does through 1996 is huge, as Mankind's going to come in here pretty soon. That's coming up a little bit later. So we get the culmination of the Hollywood Backlot Brawl as Goldust and Roddy Piper, they end up back at the pond. And this is, like I said, they're wearing the same blood-soaked stuff from 3 weeks ago to fully sell this. So you got to give these guys credit for that thing. And Goldust, Dustin Runnels, man, Roddy's no longer here, but we can definitely give kudos to Dustin for this thing. Goldust takes Roddy to the fucking woodshed in this second half of this Backlot Brawl until he makes the mistake. And we've talked about this on this show before, that, remember, kids, T96, Goldust in all of his androgyny pushes so many buttons that make people, especially straight men at this point in time, very, very uncomfortable. Yeah, it's all that stuff, Tunny. It's all that. And then when he lays that big kiss on Roddy Piper in the closing moments of this match, and the look on Roddy's face as he sells the absolute revulsion and disgust at this moment happens. I mean, it is so beautiful. It's just like anybody who has, if you haven't seen it, watch this. You want ring psychology or backlot psychology? Here it is, guys. It's fucking brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. He's, a disgusted Roddy just dismantles Goldust from here on out with several nut shots. Not one, but several nut shots. Then he strips, not two, not three. It's like LeBron, not four, not five. He strips Goldust down to some definitely, let's say, questionable undergarments, guys. I think that's the only way we can describe it. It's questionable. Oh my.
Nice beaver. Who said that? Did you say that? Why'd you say that?
Marlena is able to get Goldust to the back to minimize the embarrassment, but Roddy Piper stands triumphant because, I mean, there's no pin. This is the functional equivalent of a submission, or at least like Marlena kind of throws in the proverbial towel or the proverbial undergarment. I don't know what you want to call it, but
start spreading the news.
I got to say, guys, talking about this with you and thinking back to this backlot, bro, like Patrick's going to get us to talk about whether the Iron Man match is the overhyped match, one of the overhyped matches in WrestleMania history. Is this backlot brawl criminally underrated in WrestleMania history? Because I'm kind of thinking it is. No? Tunney's shaking his head.
I think it's properly rated. Like once you find it, it's right, Rob. Like it's fun, it's cool. There's flaws, but like it's what it is. It's the worst thing you could say when you're doing like a podcast or a show or whatever. It is what it is. Great commentary, dynamite drop in, Monty. That broadcast school is really paying off. Like it could have been better. Let's not kid ourselves. Now, at the same time,
was it the Bronco footage? Is that what turned you off?
Is it a great lesson in wrestling psychology? 100%. Like, should any wrestling student be watching this? Absolutely. And that's more so attributed to Roddy Piper and Goldust, who are brilliant minds, right? So there's just glaring opportunities to achieve more is the last thing I'll say, Rob.
I thought it was good. It was good. It was fun and enjoyable. But like, underrated, most underrated all time. I don't know about all that.
I didn't say all time. I didn't say all time. I said, is it underrated as far as WrestleMania matches go? I think it probably is.
Maybe. I'll say maybe.
Dynamite drop in there, Monty. Sorry. I'm just selling the gimmick for Tunney. All right. We've reached the main event. And I will say this, for right now over in the live stream, we've got 61 of you guys in here. So thank you for joining us here tonight to talk, to review this WrestleMania 12 here on the Big Five Project. We really, really appreciate it. It's the first time. Cheers to all of you.
Drop us a line.
Yeah. What are you drinking? Hopefully something good. It's the first time we've ever live streamed an episode of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling podcast. Now, yes, we have done Game Gone Wrong and Unidentified History, but this is the first time we've done the wrestling show. First time we've done the Big Five Project. So thank you guys out there. Put this out there. Tunney, would you read our good friend, the Chairshot Villain's question to us?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
As we get ready to, and because I would love for anybody who's listening right now to give us your thoughts on whether the Chairshot Villain is correct.
Negatives, positives for anything from the show. But yeah, from this point specifically from our Chairshot Villain, follow him at Wrestling Realist. He's also a wrestling fan. He's not just a nerd. Discussion point. The Iron Man match is one of the most overhyped matches in WrestleMania history. You know I'm right.
I don't know if he's right. I'll put it that way. Overhyped? Maybe in hindsight or retrospectively?
He says one of, though. He doesn't say the most. He says one of. So I guess he's saying, let's classify that. How about he's saying, I'll even give it a little bit more leeway. I'll say he's saying it's one of the top 10 overhyped matches. WrestleMania history, then, I got to say then less than that. I got to say he's in one of the top 7 overhyped matches in WrestleMania history.
Possibly.
Maybe.
But I think the match delivers. There's been matches like that have been overhyped that just didn't deliver. Remember Roman Reigns versus Brock to unify the titles a couple years ago. They hyped the shit out of that. I wouldn't say it delivered. I know there was an injury or something like that, but I look at it from the standpoint of the way they hyped this match and how they got to the Iron Man. And I mean, yeah, overhyped to a certain extent, but I do look at the end product. And this match is tremendous in most respects. right? I mean, I think we're all going to agree that it's a phenomenal match.
I give it an 8.
That's a phenomenal match.
And it is a phenomenal match. It's historically even more phenomenal, right? Like it would earn a higher score. As we go along and get towards the end, I've teased it before. I think there's one glaring flaw. And I understand the reasoning for the decision that was made, but I would have done it differently in one big, huge aspect of the match. Other than that, it's crazy. Other than having to go back and watch it for an hour, like I didn't. I told Dave, like when we were getting to this, I'm like, I'm not. He asked, do we want to do a watch long? We haven't done a watch long in a little bit. And I'm like, that would have to be just a different show. Like we could get to that. We could do classics and do a watch long for that. But I couldn't even bring myself to watch this again. I've already seen this match like at least 3 times, like sitting down front to back.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to do it again. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to disrespect either of these guys. And Rob's laughing, but it's just like, I know the segmentation of this match already, so maybe
to your point, it's interesting to note, and some more of these, what we'd love to do here on the Big Fire Project is add context and facts and little tidbits that you might not know. And Shawn and Bret didn't even work out the details for this match until the morning of. I think the morning of or the morning before, or maybe it was the morning of. And they did this thing so that, if I remember correctly, and I'm looking this up, they sat together, the day of WrestleMania 12. Hart recalls sitting with Michaels for 3 hours putting the entire match together.
On spectacular terms, by the way. Like
at
this point in time, they're good friends. Bret is like probably the one that pitched to work with,
right.
let's bring him into the fold.
There's going to be an event that happens at the end of this, which starts the souring of that relationship. And it should have been avoided. But anyway, Shawn comes up with the first 25 minutes of the match. Bret comes up with the next half hour. And the last 5 of the match were all Shawn's. And the great thing about this match is they went over all the details so that they could recall everything very easily. Like we talked about how when Savage and Steamboat had that match at WrestleMania 3, and Macho laid that out in meticulous detail, move for fucking move, and made Ricky Steamboat memorize everything. Move for move. Why did the match go off as great as it was? Because Macho had laid it out in painstaking detail. Contrast to Hogan and Andre later on that night, right? Where Hulk doesn't know what the fuck Andre's doing. I got it laid out on a yellow pad. Is this going to work for me? Is this going to work for you, boss? Don't worry about it. Yeah. Leg drop. Here is a little bit more loose than that, but you got Shawn doing it for 25, Bret doing it for 30. Shawn does the last 5 minutes. They didn't miss any of their cues. You can listen to these guys talk about this match afterwards. They both will talk about it. They sat down and talked about the Iron Man match. They didn't miss any of their cues. They were lined up exactly where they knew they needed to be at each juncture of the match, so that when they got to those last 5 minutes, they knew exactly what they did. They were home free, and they were, this was like house money at that point in time. And they pull it off with absolute precision. So overhyped, perhaps. Does the match deliver? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what we're going to do with this match is we'll break it into quarters, because that's how I actually watched it the last time, 15 minutes at a time. Because you can kind of, if you're trying to look at the match as an hour, it's very difficult to do that. But if you break it down as, okay, who's controlling the match at this point in time, it's a lot easier. So let's kind of do that. Shawn versus Bret. Iron Man match, WWF Championship. Gorilla Monsoon is officially named the WWE president before the match starts because Tunney's uncle, the Poon Slayer Jack Tunney, has been displaced. Sorry, Tunney.
Yeah,
it is.
It's total BS.
Uncle fucking Jack. Uncle Jack.
Yeah. I mean, why hold it against the guy for how much Poon he slays? That's bullshit.
He's a legend in my mind. I'll just say that right now. He's a legend in my mind.
Not this day and age, I'll tell you. Not this.
For the women who are listening, sorry. We're not trying to be misogynistic. It's just kind of, oh yeah, okay, Tunney, yeah. Tunney's a single one, so just throwing that out there. Oh, hey. You too? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. On behalf of me and...
can be reached at, anyway, we'll give you their information in a little bit.
Well, I mean, on behalf of Rob and I, nice beaver.
Wow.
What? Rob, don't say that. God damn it, Rob.
Jose Lothario is going to cue everyone into one of the most iconic WrestleMania entrances ever. And that is not hyperbole. Shawn Michaels' entrance, descending from the top of the pond at Anaheim on that harness apparatus with the fireworks going off. They've played that 3 million times since it's probably happened.
Oh yeah.
And that might not be accurate. It is, what do you think, guys? The greatest WrestleMania entrance of all time? You could make an argument for that.
Let me say this to anybody listening, because the three of us just watched at least bits and pieces of this. To anybody listening, live now or in the future, in your head, can you remember what Shawn Michaels was wearing as he came down the zip wire?
Sure.
Easily. Right? It was black and silver, tight pony.
Yep. Fireworks going off, that whole just flying over. I mean, and you think back of the tragedy of Owen Hart a few years later, but I mean, this is a different, it's like this worked out so well.
Did you not? I did. When you brought it up and remembered, like when you brought up the entrance and like kind of spoke it out in words, I was like, if only this was the last time we ziplined down.
Right. And they did everything worked on this whole thing, and whatever happened with Owen was just a tragedy. But it is probably, I don't know, man. I mean, all the Undertaker entrances at WrestleMania, yes, they are iconic. Is this the most iconic of all time?
No.
He got a good argument for it, man.
It's his most iconic. I don't know. You got like some Triple H. You got some Hunter entrances. You got Cena entrances.
Or even Shawn's entrance at 25, where he comes back as the the God.
The black and the white. White. Yeah, that's what makes that match one of the greatest. That's possibly the greatest match of all time.
I think it's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, but we're a ways away from that. So let's look at the first 15 minutes of this match. And as expected, it's a lot of wrestling, a lot of chain wrestling.
Yes.
There's a few bursts of higher energy stuff, right? Not many, but a few bursts of that. It's set up to show Jose Lothario's influence, as Shawn is going to show off some solid wrestling skills, surprising Bret in a few places. This first 15-minute segment ends with Shawn hitting the timekeeper with sweet chin music in a fairly iconic spot. So let's stop there. The first 15 minutes of the match, very technical. And, Bret is the excellence of execution. Shawn can go. We all know Shawn can go. But they do a good job of showing Jose Lothario's influence and how Shawn has kind of evolved into this more ground-based chain wrestling sort of style. And I do think that Bret does sell that, hey, this caught me by surprise. I wasn't quite expecting this from Shawn. I thought he'd be up, high octane, up tempo, right in my face like he's always been. And Shawn slows it down and takes it to the mat and is willing to grapple with Bret. And I thought, that's a good, smart way to start an hour-long match. Rob, what do you think of this first 15 minutes?
Yeah, because it was important because like Shawn was known as the high spot guy. And so he needed to go out there and show that he could get down there and just kind of grapple with Bret and, keep it on the ground if needed. So I thought it was definitely a good way to kick things off. And then look, if you got to go an hour, you're not going to do a bunch of running the ropes and everything to start out with because you're going to get gassed early. So starting out on the ground doing this type of stuff, definitely the best way to start this match out. And so I thought the first 15 minutes were excellent.
Tony, what do you think of the first 15 minutes here?
It's the unexpected, right? Like we've seen these guys before, but it's never been anything, really Shawn's the one that's going to do that. We thought Bret was going to do that, right? It'd be almost as if they would have started out fast because of Bret's pace. So it's brilliant. And the fact that Shawn brought it up, I'm sure Bret ate it up right away. He's like, oh, definitely, right? Like we have to find a way to 60 minutes. That's the thing. Like you're creating a map for yourself to success. And this is a very brilliant move in the first portion of that success mapped out.
Yeah, I agree. And it is cool that Shawn, now that we know what we know, that this is Shawn's idea. Shawn came up with the first 25 minutes and went, and I agree with you, Tony. He probably went to Bret and say, hey, look, why don't we do this? Nobody's going to be expecting this. And Bret's like, yeah, that's smart. Let's do that.
And Shawn continually trying to prove himself as well, right? Like I can be your main guy for so many years now, and here's his opportunity. And he's like, you know what? Let's take it a step further. Not only can I be your main guy, I can go with the other main guys in their best style.
Yep. It shows a lot of versatility in Shawn Michaels, that's for sure. Let's jump into the second 15 minutes and get to the halfway point of this match. Shawn is going to control much of this second segment of this match with a focused attack on Bret's shoulder. as Shawn is going to show some real, and he continues to show his real grappling skill here. Bret is going to actually go get a couple of near falls near the end. The first half of the match is going to end with Bret grabbing Shawn by the hair and leaping off the top turnbuckle, taking the ref out at the same time. So it's interesting that in, the first half of this second 15 minutes, we're still at the same place. Shawn's still grappling, focusing on body parts. When Bret takes over the booking of the match, it kind of like goes into Shawn style, right? It goes high octane. And it starts off with Bret grabbing Shawn by the hair, jumping off the top turnbuckle, taking the referee out. So it's so cool that they did it like this, because you see this stuff like now we see modernly guys stealing each other's finishers, right? These guys booked this match stealing the other one's style. And it's fucking brilliant what they did here. Tony, I go to you for the second half of this match. And as we get to the halfway point with a big ref bump as well, but when I'm reading it back with you guys, knowing what I know now, these guys are freaking brilliant, the way that they set this thing up.
It's funny because what you just described, like how you described it, made my brain go to a place that Bret learned lessons here that would help him in the best double turn of all time a year from now. Do you know what I'm saying? It's learning how to get the most out of what you're working with, regardless of I'm a former champion about to set one of the greatest wrestlers in the world into his championship phase, or you're just, out there working a random, Sunday night house show because that's going to fill up the weekend for the promotion. It's psychology. It's ridiculous. And you want to talk underrated? Bret Hart's psychology is so underrated. We already know Shawn Michaels' psychology has been known, like the icon, Mr. WrestleMania, but obviously we already knew, but to add this in here, I mean, come on, like we're working on another level. It's the Cena wink to Dom Mysterio. Yeah, there it is right there.
Rob, what do you think of this second half of this match here? You want me to wink at you again, Rob?
I thought it was good. Now, I guess I'll go ahead and get to my big criticism of this match. I absolutely hated that they got no falls in regulation.
Yes, we agree. It's the same argument, Rob. I agree.
Because
you tell everybody why, and then I'll play devil's advocate to our opinion.
Because it removed any drama from the match for me. Like there was no one ever had to catch up. No one ever had to race the clock. The clock didn't matter because there were no fault. And so it completely drained, a lot of drama out of the match, because this thing's an hour. We know it's going to go an hour regardless because it's an Iron Man match. And so one of the things you need to do, like any other sporting event, one team goes ahead, the other team have to come back because you only have so much time, right? Except for baseball, of course. But football, basketball,
timeless sport, baseball.
Yeah. Football, basketball, hockey, boxing. There's a clock. Like you're not just fighting or playing against the person. You're up against the clock. And to get ahead, you have to catch up before the clock runs out, right? Or if it's tied, you need to get ahead before the clock runs out. And by not having any falls in the whole hour, they just completely took that out of the match.
Here's the problem, right? So the no falls in regulation does the stipulation a disservice, but the stipulation wasn't there to service the stipulation. It was there to service the combatants. And what it did, having no falls in regulation, while I disagree with it from a fan's perspective, because you're expecting multiple falls, because because the match doesn't end until the time limit, not because of a fall. But what it does is say these guys are so fucking good, they can't even beat each other in an hour. So the stipulation services the combatants, not the other way around. And in retrospect, we want to service the stipulation because we already know how good the combatants are. We're not putting ourselves in that time period.
Yeah, I see your guys' point. A couple of things I'll say about it is this is the first time they tried this. And so, to do it with the whole sudden death overtime sort of thing. But you've seen to compare and contrast to like some of the other Iron Man matches we've seen where it's like 6-5. And yeah, there's drama from somebody needing to come back, but it almost gets too much when the falls start coming that fast and heavy, especially like when they drop it down to 30 minutes or something like that. I mean, it wasn't like Angle versus Lesnar, like 4-3 or 3-2 or something like that. I mean, that's kind of like the sweet spot. That's kind of like the sweet spot you're looking for. But I'll give him a pass on this one because like Tony's saying, when you got guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels who were like telling the story, these guys are so damn good. They can't beat each other in an hour. Now, of course, the fact that they go to sudden death and then it's over in 3 minutes, it's a little suspend your disbelief a little bit, but I get it, that sort of thing. I see what you guys are saying. I see, if it had been even 1-0 coming down the stretch, like
And
Shawn
that's
had
all I
gotten
needed.
if they had, like Shawn got an early decision, right? Like in the first 5 minutes and Bret was chasing him the whole time.
Well, it should
It
have been
changes the
Bret.
match completely.
Like, if you wanted to go 1-1 into overtime, you would have said Bret caught Shawn in the sharpshooter early,
Sharpshooter.
and then late Shawn got
then
him with whatever.
Yeah, Bret catches Shawn early. Shawn submits rather than really risk an injury to
Right.
get out of the
Well,
move.
he had to, that's where you wish you had JR on commentary, right? Like,
Yeah.
well, the brilliance of Shawn Michaels to know well enough to tap out early on in this match to get subjugated to the injury later on to get tipped out all the time, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Stay away from the Dippin' Dots. For the love
Damn Dippin' Dots. All right, the third 15-minute segment. The action picks up a bit here. And again, this is Bret Hart booking this part of the match. The action is going to pick up a bit here with a few near falls, but it's also highlighted by Bret backdropping Shawn over the top ring post and flinging him into the steel steps and Jose Lothario at the same time. And that's kind of where the third segment of this ends. Is the pace does pick up a little bit because Bret's booking this thing. There are a few more near falls, but it does end with Bret having a decided and distinct advantage when the 45-minute mark expires. Tony, you got anything about this third segment? I mean, it's kind of like the middle. It's not even the middle child. It's like the third child of this whole thing. It's okay, but it's really just kind of a setup to the finale.
Oh, but if you're going to have Lothario out there, why not have him, at some
Take a
point,
bump.
right?
Yeah.
Something to do, something like the dude's fucking, like he's a trainer. Like he'd love nothing more to be involved in any capacity, right? Especially if it's something kind of slightly physical. So I think that's great. We're getting there. I appreciate the pickup of the pace and when you get to this point of the match. But yeah, like we said, the dichotomy of having them flip styles is just beautiful.
Rob, what do you think about it?
I agree with everything Tony said there. And this is kind of where you have to, the third quarter is where, you want to pick things up a little bit, but you still got to save some for the fourth quarter. So you have so you have to pace yourself properly so that you're not out of gas. And I think they did a good job of that here. And
It's
also,
like
you also got
like
to keep things moving enough because it's very easy to start losing people after 30 minutes.
an hour, 45 minutes. This is kind of like the rest spot of the match, right?
Yeah.
That's like a little bit, even though the pace picked up some, they're kind of like gearing up because, let's talk about the final segment because the last 15 minutes are the best. Absolutely the best part of this match is Shawn is going to throw all sorts of moves at Bret, but he can't get a pin. With about 30 seconds left, Shawn is going to try like a drop kick off the top rope. Bret catches his legs and applies the sharpshooter. And this match is over, guys. Shawn's not getting out of this. There's no way. He's nowhere near the ropes. He's got no strength left to power out of this thing. Bret Hart has got the sharpshooter locked on. One of the best sharpshooters I could ever remember being applied. And the fact that this happens at the 59-minute and 30-second part of this match, and Bret still has the energy left to execute this as well, it's awesome. The time limit is going to expire, of course, without Shawn submitting. But he's still trapped in the hold. Bret, of course, thinks that he's retained the belt, either by way of Shawn submitting or by way of a draw. But Gorilla Monsoon and one of his, now Tunney's uncle would have just let this shit go. But Gorilla Monsoon is like, no, that's not going to happen. We have to have a winner. There must be a winner here. So the match restarts under sudden death rules. Bret immediately focuses on Shawn's back because why not? He's just had Shawn locked in the sharpshooter for a good minute.
Yeah.
Shawn is able to execute though. So Shawn is going to escape over the back of Bret, hits the sweet chin music that Vince is like, I don't know if he got all of that, but it does level Bret pretty well. Shawn's able to get to his feet first. He then hits Bret with the second sweet chin music flush. The boyhood dream comes true. Shawn Michaels wins the WWF Championship, his first WWF Championship reign in an epic Iron Man match. So like going back to the last 15 minutes, I love what they did here, especially like the last 5 minutes. And got to remember, Shawn booked the last 5 minutes. So he had this stuff figured out. And he's like, at this point, Shawn goes back to who he is. And it's all high octane. It's all high impact moves. It's everything he's trying to do to get that pinfall, but he can't beat Bret Hart. And even Jerry Lawler says it during the announcement, right? He can't beat the Hitman, which of course for Jerry, with all of his history with Bret, had to be a bitter pill to swallow on a kayfabe level. But Jerry does a great job with the announcing of this thing. And then at the end, yeah, Shawn goes off the ropes, tries to drop kick. Bret has got this match won. And it is one of these things where you can, from a storyline standpoint, you can certainly feel and understand Bret Hart's frustration. The big controversy at the match, before I go back to you guys, is the lack of a post-match handshake. And the idea that there's a dispute between the two guys as to what was supposed to happen. Bret was always like, I'm not going to shake your hand because I want to build heat for the eventual rematch. Problem is, they don't get that eventual rematch till Survivor Series 97, and it ends up being the Montreal Screwjob. So the thought about building the heat for the match, Bret was looking at it from a kayfabe standpoint. Everything else real world happens to turn this, from this work into a fucking shoot by the time we actually get to this match. Shawn was like, I thought we were supposed to shake hands. He felt that this is where the real heat between these two guys actually starts. The finish of this match and the lack of the handshake. This is where the problems start. A misunderstanding, maybe miscommunication, whatever the case may be. But Tony, I'll go to you first. Your thoughts on the final closing 15 minutes of this match, how it evolved, and is this handshake, is that overhyped and overblown as far as the disintegration of the relationship between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels?
I'll start with the match. I think it's brilliant to let everybody wait so long to get that up-tempo vintage Shawn Michaels, right? When it happened, it's the ultimate delayed hot tag, right? So, and as far as the, dissension of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart's relationship, I don't think so. I disagree with you. I may be completely wrong, but I think it's
You're completely wrong. Yeah. No.
I think it's more compact, closer to the. Thank you.
Love you, buddy. Love you, bestie.
Listen. You and I rarely disagree, like DP and I. So it's all good.
I'm not saying that this was the catalyst. I'm saying that this may have been an example of some miscommunication between these guys that started them down a bad path. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead. You can tell me I'm right.
I doubted you. I'm sorry.
Wow. Make sure you follow Patrick O'Dowd at Wrestling Realist. Wrestling Realist, yes.
Tune in to Bandwagon Nerds every Monday morning on Chairshot Radio.
Yes. Rob, what are your thoughts on the match and this handshake? Is this overblown, or might this have been the genesis of the problems between these guys?
He's calling it the genesis. You son of a you're lawyering the shit out of this. Rightfully so.
Some big words. I'm very loquacious today. There you go.
God, let me be facetious about my appreciation for your fucking words.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rob. Sorry.
So for the last 15 minutes, it makes sense that when you're up against the wall, you revert to whatever it is you naturally are, right? Strategy goes out the window, and you just go back to being what you are and how you do things when you're up against the wall, when you're up against the clock, and you just got to scramble to win. So that made perfect sense to me. Now, as far as the whole handshake thing, the other reason that I didn't like the whole sudden death thing is because, like you said, the sudden death part went 3 minutes, right? I mean, they get right, and that's always, and so they kill each other for an hour, and then we're going to overtime, and then
it's over.
It's over in 3 minutes. Now, I think overtime, doing overtime would have made more sense.
Listen, sometimes 3 minutes is a long time. I just want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
I think overtime would have made more sense if this was a 30-minute Iron Man match. But if you're not going to, because then you could have had a longer overtime. You could have gone 10 minutes, right? But since they already went 60, and the crowd is already tired out also, if you're going to do overtime, it can't be long. But then it's kind of goofy to have a really short overtime after a 60-minute match. Okay. I mean, it's like when somebody runs a kickoff back at overtime, and the opening kickoff back at overtime, and the game's over. And I mean, it's great if you're rooting for them, it's great. But like everybody else
Like
hates
Matt Hasselbeck saying, "We want the ball and we're going to score," and then he throws a pick six. I mean, shit.
right.
That is brilliant. That is a way to go, Matt.
Now, as far as the handshake and all of that, look, I think the origin of Bret and Shawn's problems is probably the same as the origin of all of Shawn's problems, and that was
Drugs.
the pharmaceutical industry and his reliance on it for many things. Okay.
Or maybe he just wasn't seeing straight. I don't.
He lost his smile too. That doesn't help.
Yeah.
I think honestly, with Shawn, you can trace a lot to drugs. So, by his own admission, by the way, I'm not throwing out speculation.
Yeah, you're not saying anything we don't already know. That's
right,
that's
and
for sure.
yeah. So, I think look. Now he might have been like, "Hey, man, what was that?" But whatever small misunderstandings he may have had with somebody, everything became amplified with him, largely because of the drugs. So now, does that mean this might have just been like the first thing that kind of went weird between them? Sure. Yeah. Very well could have been. But do I think it by itself was like a big factor? Probably not.
No, I'm not saying that. But
However, though, I
like
mean,
you're
one
saying,
thing, I think the kind of disgruntled Bret at the end of this match is kind of the first, whether they intended it to be that way or not, it can be looked at as kind of the first step towards Bret's heel turn the next year.
well, yeah, I mean, you've got fans turning against him to align themselves with Shawn during the match, as the match is going on, which I'm sure, there was a divided crowd, but that didn't sit so well with them. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but it is interesting that these guys worked so well together for an hour, laid this match out with such meticulous detail, hit all their spots, and then this handshake thing at the end, which leads me to kind of believe that Bret's version is the more accurate one. That he told Shawn, "I'm not going to shake your hand because I want to build heat for this rematch. I'm going away for a few months. I got to negotiate a really awful contract with Vince McMahon that I'm going to get here, that Vince is going to regret every day of his life until I end up going to WCW." But it just seems like you guys worked out all the details of this match. Why wouldn't you worked out this subtle little final detail? Unless, like Bret said, I wanted to create heat here, and Shawn just in his own mind, like Rob is saying, his own altered state at that point in time, interpreted it differently, remembered it differently, whatever. But that, guys, is it for WrestleMania 12. Tunney, as I always like to do, what score did Cage Match give this event?
Cage Match has been so hard to access. I don't even go there anymore. Yeah, like the same way I tried to find it. I'll effort it. You want me to give mine, and then we'll go around.
We'll do something different. On a scale of, for those listening, we're up to like, how many people are in the stream? 74 right now. Thank you guys so much for being here and joining us to this discussion on WrestleMania 12. And what we do at the end of all these events is we give our score on a scale of 1 to 10. Tunney usually breaks out his East German clothing and paraphernalia.
Wow.
But not
We're
tonight.
About to change that.
Yeah. All right. We'll see about that.
Okay, I got it.
All right. What's Cage Match? What's their score on this event?
First, I want to tell you that they gave the Iron Man match an 8. The overall score, 5.68.
Well, that's low. Go ahead, man.
We don't put like, I just want to tell everybody, we don't put like a whole lot of stock in Cage Match. We're just trying to give you like a starting point either,
They were good in 95 as kind of like a give us an idea of how bad it really was, I think that's a really low score for this event. But go ahead, Tunney. What is your score for WrestleMania 12?
Give it a 5.67. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Thank you. Das Vidania, comrade.
Yeah. No, this is a 7. This is a really good WrestleMania. There's a lot of good matches that aren't the main event, and the main event's good. The best match, you touched on it, Dave. It is Taker and Diesel, and for no other reason that sometimes when you got shit going on in your life and you show up to do your job or whatever you have going on, you're just really good at it because, you know, your subconscious and your muscle memory takes over. And I think that's what happened on top of Kevin Nash, just knowing that having a great match at WrestleMania with Undertaker is only going to help his career. So I'll give it a 7.
Rob, what do you got?
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be better than a 0 out of 10 like you gave. What did you give a
Wow.
0? King of the Ring 95, or I don't know which one you gave a 0.
Or yeah, I think it might have been either, or it might have been SummerSlam 95. But okay, so now I do rate things on Cage Match. So just to let people know,
Contributor.
yes.
Are you're revealing your conflict here? Is that what you're doing?
So I'm gonna just there's on their scale, it's 1 to 10, but for them, okay, 6 is satisfactory. So and 4 is adequate. So if
let's not say that people go on to Cage Match and adhere to Cage Match's subsequent addressed numbers for rating. Fucking get the fuck out of here. It's 1 through 10. Everybody knows what 1 through 10 is, and they appropriate it to their own fucking scaling. Don't, 7 is blah, blah, blah. Well, then I need to change how I feel myself. Come on, man.
Okay, I give it an 8.
When I think about you, I touch myself. So go ahead, Rob.
Okay, I'd give it an 8. Okay, I think it is overall, I think it is a good show. I don't think anything other than the Triple H Warrior match. I don't think nothing really stunk other than that. But for me to give you more than an 8, there needs to be at least one match on there that I would say is like that I would put on my all-time great list. Iron Man match was great, but for me, you know, I would not put it on my all-time great WrestleMania.
I gotta bring it back 6.5, actually.
All right, I'm giving it an 8. I give it an 8. I think it's
Okay, 6.75.
Above average, solid B. 8 out of 10.
I'm actually completely aligned with Rob on this. I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. I think all the matches are quite good. Diesel versus Taker was great. Like we said, the Iron Man match it's iconic, you know. As bad as the match between Hunter and the Warrior was, it's still the return of the Ultimate Warrior. It's hard to really find stuff to complain about here.
Can we just say this?
No.
This is brilliant right here. This is actually fucking brilliant. Chairshot Radio Network, all of your favorite streaming platforms where you can find the Mindless Wrestling Podcast, where Rob's opening line in their intro is, he was a Before the Bell Rings All-Star, and that was Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 12. Right, Rob?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So apropos. So go listen to the Mindless Wrestling Podcast and then tweet me back at BC Tunney that he does not say that and it does not apply to WrestleMania 12 and the Ultimate Warriors match.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. Mic drop. 8 out of 10 for me. 8 out of 10 for Rob. What are you, 6.75 out of 10, Tunney? Is that where you're...
I gave it a 7.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever.
We appreciate it. That's going to do it, guys, for this episode of the Big Five Project and our coverage of WrestleMania 12. On the next installment of the Big Five Project, we go to the hometown of the one and only PC Tunney, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for King of the Ring 1996. Some guy says something at this event that I think is important, right, Tunney? If I remember correctly, somebody says something out here.
He got stitched up and he came back and he created a revolution. We'll get there. Tune in next time for sure.
Exactly. I mean, we've got, so let's see that. Okay, so that is, okay. So what we've got coming up on the Big Five Project in the next couple episodes are critically important. Critically important episodes. I hope you guys who are with us right now, with the live stream, as we're at 76 right now, please, I implore you, come back when we do the next episodes of the Big Five Project, because it's just going to get better from here. I mean, there's some clunker-ish. WrestleMania 13 is not so great, except for probably the greatest WrestleMania match of all time, or top 3. But we've got King of the Ring 1996, which is the birthplace of Austin 316. And then we are doing our first side project. Or side quest. We have never deviated from the Big Five chronology until 2 episodes from now.
Gotta do it.
When we go to Bash at the Beach 1996 for the birth of the NWO. Immortal One, who apparently, unfortunately, was not so immortal, Hulk Hogan, and the birthplace of the NWO. These two events juxtaposed against each other. Sorry, I'm using big words again. It is a juxtaposition, yes, but it's also a microcosm of what is about to happen in professional wrestling as the Monday Night War will go from it's happening. Yeah, they're fighting with each other. It's about to go incendiary at this point. As soon as the NWO is born, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And that's coming up in the next couple of episodes of the Big Five Project, two of the biggest events in 1996 in pro wrestling. So really hope you guys come back for that. For those of you who joined in live, cannot thank you enough for coming in here and watching this event with us. We got, the turnout has been excellent. Love the fact 76 of you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to cut out of here. Rob Burnett, he is a genius, even if he doesn't have his placard or his labeling or whatever is going on here, correctly notating this. But Rob, yeah. Where can people check you out on social media when they want to see some real genius level shit going on?
Okay, so I'm on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky RBONNE1. Those are two best places to catch me, and you can hear me with Dave and Tony here plenty of times, and you can hear me every week on the Mindless Wrestling Podcast with DJ and Jason.
Like I said, we will be getting Rob to talk about the Tunguska event. Rob, I would also ask you, go when Age of Disclosure comes out on Prime next Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Go buy it. $25, baby. Go buy it. Watch it so you can talk to us about it. It'll be worth it. Every penny. Don't mind what the haters are saying. It's going to be an important event.
Haterade.
Tunny, where can people check you out on all your social media goodness and platforms and that fun stuff?
Oh, for me, at PC Tunny. If you want interaction from me, X is the place to go. Check out everything Chairshot Radio Network, all of your favorite streaming platforms, thechairshot.com. Of course, attitudeofaggression.com. Just fucking crushing it over here lately. It's like I'm proud to be a part of your network, Dave. So there you go.
And I'm going to put something else over right here, right now. 6 days, we go live for the 500th episode of the DWI Wrestling Podcast. That is PC Tunny. That is the one and only DPP at It's Me DPP.
Send your hate mail there. Hate mail goes to at It's Me DPP.
You can send your hate mail the way, or at the Real C Plat if you prefer that. You can
works
send your
too.
hate. You can, or at It's Ray Cash. I mean, there's a bunch of people that we can throw into the bus here.
Whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, next week, the 500th episode of DWI Wrestling Podcast, we will be live streaming that probably over the Attitude of Aggression airwaves because we want to get some eyeballs. That's going to be a phenomenal, no pun intended, episode coming up, the 500th episode. As far as me, I will, of course, as I always do on the Big Five Project, come in at the back half of this with the Let Me Talk to You part, which is me talking to people listening. But if you're listening on the live stream, I do want to give you some contact information as well there, just in case you don't come back for the full episode when it airs. Hope you do. But on X, that's the best place to follow me, at AttitudeAg. That is at AttitudeAGG. You can follow or like the page on Facebook.com/Attitude of Aggression. I'm not even going to advertise really Instagram and Threads anymore because I'm not really doing much over there. But I will put over the YouTube channel, which is actually picking up some steam and
let's go.
Some subscribers as well. Yeah. All the episodes are going up on the YouTube channel, which is the Attitude of Aggression. Just do a search for. I tried to add it to the bio, Tony. It wouldn't let me because I guess I too many characters or something.
The only thing I could add right here is I think Dave and I have both come to the realization that we'd like to most Fridays be live with you guys. So kind of check out for that. Whether it's wrestling or UAP, kind of UFO, what's going on over there. And then, we're not going to stop covering the dragons either. So,
no, they'll be back.
Tune in.
The Dragons will be back in a couple of months. We will be back with some more Game of Thrones. But yeah, check out Attitude of Aggression, the YouTube channel where this live streamed. The video episodes go there as well. If you like what's going on, subscribe.
Please.
Turn on the notifications. Drop me a comment. Like the video. Do it. Your
life will get better.
As Emperor Palpatine would say, do it. And also, of course, if you like what you hear from us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. Let's all of us, including the bearded one DJ who's not here tonight, know that we're doing
not 3,
something right.
Not 4.
Not 4.
5. All the way up. Click them all.
That, my friends, is going to do it for this episode of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast and the Big Five Project. Again, thank you so much to all of you who tuned in, 79 of you, and it just keeps going up. Imagine the replay is going to hit some pretty decent numbers. We cannot stress, we cannot appreciate enough all of you guys tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Please come back, especially for King of the Ring 1996, because if you don't, then Tunney 316 says, we just whipped your ass. So there you go. That's coming up on the next episode. Until next time, you guys out there, stay aggressive, do it with attitude. We will catch you soon for the next edition of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast. So long, everyone.
This is your boy Kenny Killer telling you to make sure you check out thechairshot.com, bringing you breaking news, interviews, podcasts galore, everything pro wrestling. Make sure you check it out, thechairshot.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The review of WrestleMania 12. Great stuff all the way around. I mean, that's all I can say about it is it's, what can I say about this that we didn't already cover, right? I mean, that's the thing is we covered so much about WrestleMania 12 in that episode. And, it's an event that, as far as WrestleManias go, it's unique in that there's hardly any matches. And that's, of course, because one match goes for an entire hour. And I got to give some credit to, my partner in crime on Bandwagon Nerds and on Four Corners Sports Podcast that we do over on thechairshot.com. Patrick O'Dowd, wrestling realist, the number one Chairshot villain. Because Patrick had, as we were doing the live stream, he put in a post and he said that he felt that the Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Iron Man match was one of the most overhyped WrestleMania matches of all time. And I kind of, and I talked to Patrick a little bit, and we kind of, I think we even discussed it a little bit on the Four Corners podcast this past week, that as like, from the standpoint of it being overhyped and just kind of like, the way that they built it up, I guess to a certain extent, but I always thought the match delivered. And Pat's very much of the opinion that the match is horribly boring. And that really ties into a lot of what we talked about on the episode with Tunney and with DJ, is that, if there's a complaint about the match that a lot of people have, it's that it's 0-0 going into overtime. So there's no decision, which, makes it feel like there's no stakes on the line and that sort of thing. And there is some merit to that. I'll say that, if it had been like Bret got an early fall and then Shawn had to chase him down and get a pin at the very end to force overtime, or something like that, or even the reverse, that Bret had to get something at the end just to get a draw, or so he thought. I could see that building the drama. But I do revert to the fact that this was the first time they tried an Iron Man match of this magnitude. So you got to kind of give them a little bit of slack that they really didn't know the formula. We've seen other Iron Man matches. I know Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle had one. I believe Triple H and The Rock have one at some point. And those are much more high-scoring affairs. And it creates drama in a different way. But I always enjoyed this match from the standpoint of, like, yes, I understand the notion that, well, this is boring as fuck because nobody's scoring anything, nobody's doing anything. I get it. But at the same time, you look at the two guys who planned this whole event out the morning of WrestleMania 12, and they hit all their spots and they don't make any mistakes and they get to where they want to go at the end. And it is a flawlessly put together match. That's the thing I want to say about it, is they really just flawlessly put this match together. They don't fuck up. They don't make any mistakes. There's no botches. You're in the ring with somebody for 60 minutes. And yeah, these are two of the best to ever do it. Don't get me wrong. Technically speaking, there's very few who can match these two guys, but I always love the match. I get the complaints about it. I don't feel the same way, but that's just me. And since I'm the only one talking, I'm the only opinion that matters, right? So that being said, I do think that, we gave a lot of love to Undertaker versus Diesel, which, especially given the circumstances with Scott Hall having already been blacklisted from most everything from WWE. I mean, he will get the curtain call incident, but Kevin Nash, who had been Vince's champion for a year, and that's the thing, Scott Hall had been Intercontinental champion, but he'd never been the man. Kevin Nash was the man for years. during a very dark period in WWE history. That whole 1995 period of time, that was all on Diesel's watch, true. But at the same time, he held the ship down. The fact that Vince gave him a high marquee match against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And I think The Undertaker absolutely benefited from this match much more than obviously Kevin Nash. Didn't lose anything from this match, and he's going to show up in WCW in a few months. And of course, we'll cover that as we go along here on the next two episodes from now. We'll be talking all about Bash at the Beach. But it was the first marquee match that Undertaker really had of the streak. And, up until then, we talked about it. He fought Superfly Snook at WrestleMania XII. That's fine. Jake the Snake Roberts, okay, you shook off a few DDTs. Great. The Giant Gonzalez is a fucking disaster of epic proportions. Even I give Tony shit about that, but even he absolutely believes it. Just, yeah. He didn't fight at 10 because he was injured, and at 11 he fought King Kong Bundy. So, yeah, there's a streak, but this is where he goes to 5-0 here with a marquee victory over his most dangerous opponent, probably up to that point next to Yokozuna, and it's a big win. The Hollywood Backlot Brawl was better than I remembered it being. I greatly enjoyed that, watching that whole thing back. And there's just, it's a good card. It's a good card. You get the opening match, the kind of odd with Vader and Yoko, and Vader being rushed back into the fold by Vince and being involved in the 6-man tag team match. It's a very good WrestleMania. It really is from top to bottom. I mean, infinitely better than, and it's weird. You're going to go through this interesting period in WWE from roughly I think from 8 on, you notice this pattern, where the even numbered WrestleManias are good and the odd numbers are just not. So because 8 was a good WrestleMania because, you had Savage Flair, you had Piper and Hart, you had Hogan's match with Sid, which is what it is, and it's more remembered for Warrior's return than anything else. 9 was an absolute shit show. 10 was one of the best WrestleManias of all time. 11 was a pretty shitty event. 12, very solid event. Absolutely. 13, not so much. We're going to get to that in due course. 14, of course, we know what happens there. Austin wins the title. 15 is questionable. And the streak kind of reversed. It's 16, which is WrestleMania 2000. But then 17 is arguably the best WrestleMania of all times. It's an interesting time frame that we're about to get into in WWE. WrestleMania 12 was excellent, no doubt about that. And I think we all greatly enjoyed that event. So good stuff all the way around. All of us gave it pretty high scores. Like we said on this one, on the next installment of the Big Five project, we are covering King of the Ring 1996, which is, of course, one of the most famous King of the Rings of all time, second only to 98 probably, because in 96 you get Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass." And we're going to do that. And then the episode after that, we're going to cover Bash at the Beach 1996, our first official side quest. And of course, there's a very good reason, because we got Austin 316 established in one place. And then a few weeks later, you get this other situation with the NWO being born and Hollywood Hogan and all that fun stuff. So that is pretty much it for the recap of WrestleMania 12. But right now, you guys know what time it is.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, let me talk to you indeed. Let me talk to you indeed. So here's the stuff that's going on in WWE right now. We talked about it on this episode. John Cena becomes a Grand Slam champion. Huge event. Big time. John Cena in his, it was his next to last Monday night. What was this, on Raw? Or was it on SmackDown? I don't remember. That was on Raw. Sorry. Drawing blanks here. John Cena captures the Intercontinental Championship from Dominic Mysterio in epic fashion. John creates or completes the Grand Slam. He's now a Grand Slam champion, and it's awesome. I got to say this, man, about John Cena. For years, I was in that crowd of the people when, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. I was probably more on the Cena sucks side of things, to be honest with you guys. Boy, have I come around with John Cena in this last year. I think, I'm not sure I'm going to say he's the greatest of all time, because I'm still partial to Macho Man and Hogan and Austin and Flair and Taker and that sort of thing. But I'll tell you this, if you want to put him on your Mount Rushmore, I will no longer argue with you at all. Not one bit. Because you look at the title reigns, you look at what he's meant to the business, you look at where he is, and we're coming up really soon here, about a month and a half or so give or take a couple weeks away from the 11th annual Swaggy Awards. And what's funny to me is, one of the categories is always biggest disappointment of the year. I know people. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I suspect John Cena's heel run may be on that list. I adamantly disagree with that, and I'll tell anybody listening that right now I'm going to disagree with you on that. Because whatever his heel run was, is what it was. If you don't get that heel run, then when he flips back babyface, granted done in a promo, not any way more dramatic, but ever since he turned back into a babyface, the crowd has just rallied behind him. I don't think you would have gotten that organic of a reaction had he not turned heel, even just dabbling with it for a while. So I think John, everything he's got going on, the whole Peacemaker stuff that he did, he's never missed a match. He's not just mailing it in. Been so active in this last run with WWE, showing up at PLEs, establishing a new PLE, WrestlePalooza, taking an ass whipping for Brock Lesnar, doing all this stuff. So, like I said, I can't say he's the greatest of all time. Would I put him in my Mount Rushmore? Man, that is hard. I don't think I can replace anybody that because I've got Savage, Hogan, Austin, and probably Flair or Undertaker. Ask me tomorrow, it'll be Flair. Ask me the day after, it'll be Taker. Shawn would be fifth. Him and The Rock. And, you compare and contrast him and The Rock. The Rock, John has been very active this last year. Dwayne ain't done shit since Elimination Chamber, which may in fact be something that gets discussed at the 11th annual Swaggy Awards. So anyway, Cena wins the IC title. He's the Intercontinental Champion, ending Dom's streak that he had since WrestleMania and giving John the career Grand Slam. We are rapidly approaching Survivor Series War Games coming up November 29th from San Diego. Highly, highly unlikely that I'm going to go down there. The prices for this aren't as bad as I've seen in other places, but it's San Diego, and as much as I desperately want to go to San Diego, because I've not been there in many years, way, way too long, staying too close to home for too long. Not going to make it down there for that. But you got Survivor Series War Games. One of the matches we know for sure is happening now, as of tonight, Monday Night Raw. Dominic Mysterio will get a shot at winning his IC title back against John Cena in Dom's backyard, San Diego. As Raw happened tonight, John Cena teamed with Sheamus and Rey Mysterio. They beat the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio, Finn Balor, JD McDonough. So, is this an opportunity for, it's a tough one. Well, John just simply dropped the title back to Dominic. Like they gave it to him to get the Grand Slam, and now he's going to give it back to Dominic. I don't know. It seems likely, but I'd still rather John retire with the IC title. Or the scenario that we had on this episode where we talked about Sheamus being the one to win the last man or the last time is now tournament and getting that shot at Cena, getting that in his last match. Sheamus also completes his Grand Slam and sends John into retirement in an epic encounter. I would love that to happen. Probably not going to happen. Gunther's probably going to win this thing, but you never know. You never know for sure. So we know that match is happening at Survivor Series War Games. We know for sure Stephanie McCurr will be defending the Women's World Championship against Nikki Bella, who Nikki has turned heel. Kind of is just recapturing some of the bitchiness that made her so good as a champion. Can she beat Stephanie McCurr? Of course not. That's not going to happen. But it's a good transitional sort of champ for Stephanie to go against to kind of work in her first title defenses. So I'm okay with that. I don't give Nikki much of a chance at all, but I don't know. We, of course, have the two War Games matches. The women's War Game match is in a big state of flux. You've got Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, and two women to be announced. Now, on Raw tonight, Rhea Ripley pulled AJ Lee aside. AJ Lee had interfered earlier in the night, cost Becky Lynch the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Maxine Dupree beat Becky Lynch tonight, folks. Yes, allow that to sink in from where she was a year ago to now beating Becky Lynch as the Women's World Championship or the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Go figure. But last week, you had Charlotte Flair basically say, I cannot team with Rhea. I don't trust her. I don't like her. She doesn't trust me. She doesn't like me. So Charlotte's pulling out. So now, you've got Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Alexa Bliss, and two others. AJ Lee's almost certainly going to be one of them. I think that's evident after tonight on Monday Night Raw. Charlotte will probably still step up to the plate and be the other one. Either that or, is Bianca Belair ready to come back? And I say that because on the other side of the fence, you've got Nia Jax, Lash Legend, the Kabuki Warriors. They're missing somebody too. Do you put the new WWE Women's Champion Jade Cargill in that match with Nia Jax and Lash Legend? And look, I do not, of course, want to make this into a racial thing, but it's hard to ignore that. Look, I'll just say it, man. If you're going to do a faction of Nia Jax, Lash Legend, and Jade Cargill, look the fuck out. Who is going to step to them or stop them on the women's side of the fence? It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with that those are three badass women. Very powerful, unbelievable power between the three of them. So I could see Jade Cargill coming in there as the last member of that team. It would make a lot of sense, put Jade in that spotlight. Then you almost, even if you get AJ Lee, you almost have to have Charlotte in there to balance things out. I'm not sure who else you would put in that spot. I mean, unless it's Bianca. That's the only thing I can think. There's two people there. AJ's in there, unless it's Bianca Belair. Now, if you could bring Bianca back, if she's ready to go, to heat up the rivalry with her, Jade Cargill, where does that leave Charlotte? I don't know. The men's War Games match, on the other hand, is set as of tonight. And boy, what a fucking battle this one is going to be. On the one side, you got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and the Usos. All of them were brawling tonight with people on the other side of the fence, the Vision, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre. And we found out who the fifth members of each team are tonight. And they could not be any two bigger people involved in this whole thing. And I mean, man, Punk is laid out people tonight, and he's getting ready to issue the GTS. I don't know if it's on Drew or on Logan Paul. I don't remember. But Brock Lesnar's music hits. And Brock comes out, and Punk, to his credit, lots of history with Punk and Brock. Punk tries to defend himself. He just gets taken to Suplex City, and it's all over. And it looks bad until the OTC, the tribal chief Roman Reigns, shows up. And Roman, here's the thing, man. Joe Tessitore, these guys are announcing, like, Roman Reigns is the one guy who can stand up to the beast. And I made a tweet tonight that, with this video for this part, that it's like, you guys remember the days when Brock Lesnar would dominate the shit out of Roman Reigns? Those days are long fucking gone. Because this is not the case anymore. Roman is every bit the badass and the equal of Brock Lesnar. And he laid out Brock with one super punch. So we know the teams now. CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, and Roman Reigns. Dude, that is a fucking dream team. I mean, yeah, that is an absolute dream team. They're taking on the Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar. Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar working together. I'm here for it. Give me the chaos. I am absolutely here for all this shiznit. It's going to be a great, great match. Survivor Series War Games shaping up to be a really, really good card. The War Games matches will be phenomenal. Again, though, this is always the problem with Survivor Series. You get these epic encounters and these great matches, and then it's like Kaiser Sose. It's gone, So they get all this stuff going on, and it's great for the match and great for what's going on, but there's no stakes involved. And this is the problem with Survivor Series. It doesn't matter. None of this stuff transfers to the Royal Rumble or to WrestleMania or anything like that. It should, but it doesn't. And I guess that's kind of okay, but at the same time, it's kind of lame. But yeah, we look like we've got some really good stuff going on for Survivor Series War Games. I'm excited about it. I think you guys should be too. It's gonna be a hell of a night in San Diego. I wonder what else gets added. We're still a couple weeks out. You do have to sort out the whole women's War Games situation and who's going to be the fifth person. So on both teams, actually. So yeah, I think that's kind of really the crux of what's happening in pro wrestling right now. I mean, I'm not, AEW continues to just flounder around and struggle. And now you got Chris Jericho, like we talked on this episode, talking shit about AEW. Seems evident he is on his way back. So we will see what happens there. NXT is doing quite well. Ricky Saints defended his championship last week, only to be confronted with Oba Femi. You got to wonder, when is Oba Femi going to show up in the main roster? Not before John Cena retires. And as you know, as anybody watching this knows, and we'll close off with this, we've got the Last Time Is Now tournament. which I think is down now to, I think we've got Sheamus is still there. Got Sheamus. You've got Rusev. You've got, as of tonight, Gunther and Solo Sikoa. Now, the big things that okay, well, wait, I take that back. I got to look this up now. The last time because yeah, I mean, let's see, what is going on? Let me pull this up. Sorry, guys. John Cena last match tournament. Okay. So let's see. Then in the last time is now tournament. And what do we got going on? The bracket. Where is the bracket? So what we've got so far on one side, we've got, okay. Yeah, we still got some stuff to determine. Okay. So first round matches. Rusev defeated Damian Priest. That was on the November 10th Raw. Sheamus beat Shinsuke Nakamura in a very good match. Also on the November 10th episode of Raw. Jey Uso beat The Miz on SmackDown on November 14th. He advanced. LA Knight beat the returning Zack Ryder. Matt Cardona showed up to a big pop. Now look, nobody knows whether Matt has signed with WWE, whether he's even been offered the contract. It's obviously something he's been lobbying for a while. His wife is there. She's doing phenomenally. Nobody's ever creamed on her like that before. Oh, wait, what? That was one of the better segments that you've seen in a while. But yeah, Chelsea Green is once again the United States champion. I would love to see Zack Ryder back in WWE. I whether he's Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder, he has earned it. He's reinvented himself. But he showed back up, and LA Knight defeated him. Gunther beat Javon Evans tonight on Raw, so Gunther advances. Solo Sikoa took on the returning Dolph Ziggler. And a very valiant effort by Dolph, who hit a nice zigzag and also took a awful shot to the corner, chest first. Solo gets the win. So what's left? Bronson Reed taking on Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown on November 20th. Bronson Reed's obviously going to win that match. I don't think there's much doubt. You're not going to pin a loss on him unless all these other War Games guys get involved and it gives Carmelo the opening to win. I don't see it happening. Penta versus Finn Balor, that's a tougher one to figure out. I'd like to see Penta win. I think he definitely needs to win more than Finn Balor does, but we'll see what happens. You know, it does seem like one of these situations where our prediction could come true. It really could. If it's Sheamus versus Gunther in the finals of the tournament, Sheamus has never beaten Gunther. He's come very close. They've had titanic struggles. Sheamus has never really beaten him. So could that happen? I think most people have got their money on Gunther. I probably do too. But I could see if Sheamus can get by into that final match. Maybe something cool happens. And this booking by Dave aspect of things will come to fruition. I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be a fun tournament. John Cena had his last Monday Night Raw match ever tonight. It was a 6-man tag, as I mentioned earlier. The end is very near for John Cena. December 13th will be here before you know it. Who will get that last match? John's got Survivor Series, the title defense against Dom. That Dom will probably win the IC title back. Although I'd love to see Cena hold on to it through December 13th, unless he gives it to Sheamus. And then you have a tournament to see who gets crowned. I don't know. I think that's the way to do it. But, I think we're going to call it there tonight. It is good for tonight, guys. That is going to do it for this episode of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast. I said this on the actual episode. I will repeat it here for anybody who's stuck around with me this long. If you want to contact the show, you want to get in touch with me personally, you want to email me with any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, email me at it. The address is attitudeofaggression@gmail.com. You can read me or email me there. I'll read your stuff on the air and do my best to answer it. You can follow me on X at AttitudeAg. That is at AttitudeAGG. Facebook.com/attitudeofaggression. Please go check out the YouTube channel. Just do a search for Attitude of Aggression on YouTube. You will find it. And if you like what you are hearing of the show, either on Apple Podcasts or over on Spotify, then please do me a favor. Leave the show a 5-star review. It lets people know that we know what we're talking about and that we're putting out good content. And of course, if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Start to see a little bit of growth there. Like videos, comment on them, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that fun stuff. Do all that great YouTube sort of things. It really does help a lot. But my friends, that is going to do it for this episode of the Attitude of Aggression Wrestling Podcast, WrestleMania 12 Big 5 review. On the next episode, next installment of the Big 5 project, King of the Ring 1996. It's going to be a good one. We will cut out of here with like a double dose of audio, and hopefully the the guys at YouTube don't get upset about this because we're not showing the video, obviously, but it's a double dose because they're two very iconic moments. We will be talking about, you guys can probably figure out what we're going to do on this thing, right? All right. Maybe, maybe not. You'll hear the audio. First off, you know what? I'm not even going to tell you which one's going to come first. I'm just going to leave it here. You guys can listen in at the end. And there'll be two really cool moments. But until next time, wrestling fans and aggressionaholics, stay aggressive, do it with attitude, make sure you're watching everything going on, tune into War Games, and of course, John Cena, the GOAT. You got to give it to him. He might actually be the GOAT at this point in time. That is coming up really soon. Until next time, guys, everybody take care, stay safe, stay dry if you're in Central California. We'll be seeing you soon.
The 60-minute time limit has expired. However, this match has been ordered to continue under sudden death rules. There must be a winner.
We're in overtime, McMahon. Bret Hart driving the knee in. I applaud Roddy Piper for wanting to have a decision. However, I would question that wisdom given the condition of Michaels. Michaels will just stay out. Oh, no. Look at that! Michaels will stay in it too long. He won't give up. The official's going to have to stop this thing. Michaels will not give up. And Bret Hart knows it. And Bret Hart now.
Back to that lower break. But Bret Hart is going to have to pin Shawn Michaels. You're right. I don't think he'll give up to the sharpshooter. Going to have to pin him.
Michaels now, trying to put in the bricks, he did. Michaels, he got it. Shawn Michaels got it. He got him. I'm not too sure if he got all of it. Whoa! But Michaels,
look at
he didn't get all of it. Michaels totally fatigued. Michaels can't cover him. But he got enough. Michaels out of nowhere. Michaels out of nowhere.
He hit him with the super kick, but you'll never in your life see one of Shawn Michaels' opponents get hit with a super kick and then beat Shawn Michaels to his feet. Impossible. But we may see it here. We did. No.
It's not over.
Oh, he's not up yet.
It's not over. This capacity crowd buzzing. They've never seen anything quite like this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Michaels said he got it. He got all of it. Michaels got all of it. Michaels in a cover. 5, 2, go! Dom's lining him up for a 619 and delivers it.
Right to the jaw of Cena, and this is the big finale for Cena here in Boston.
Frog splash, but still, Cena rolls right through with dirty Dom in hand. AA for the win. Here is your winner, and new Intercontinental Champion, John Cena. The empty spot on the mantelpiece is filled. John Cena's a Grand Slam champion.